Just a bit
groggy. Groggy in the morning. Groggy voices going through puberty. My voice is terrible this morning for some reason, which is great timing because we're watching Batman Mask of the Phantasm today. I'm so excited, Brian.
Do you want to say that again and try to sound a little bit better?
No, this is exactly what I want to sound like today. Welcome back to the podcast.
Just give me your best like Batman voice.
I think this is it.
Really? You gotta have that little whatever in the back of your throat. Like, do that plus Keanu Reeves.
You see what I'm quoting? Robin's Reckoning.
I don't remember.
You don't remember this? This is a thing you thought was funny. What am I doing this for if you don't remember anything that we watch? God.
Hey. You know what I remember?
What?
Zorbas.
Yeah, running by Zorbas and Yoppie Foods and all the important aspects of the DCAU. Yeah.
Well, that was Tip Tapricot came out to another Darkroom event last night, and you two got to meet.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Hi, friend.
Hi.
And they were mentioning that we seem to catch all the weird things that they don't.
Oh, I didn't get that part.
Yeah, no, I think you were like inside the event at that point in time. I was still hanging by the door. But
that's me trying to hold like one single note.
Oh my God.
Homie.
Okay, so you got to do either have to do Batman or Marge.
Yeah.
Or Mrs. Krabappel, who played...
Mrs. Krabappel, who was lady on the TV in Mudslides.
See, I remember all the important things, man.
Yeah, you sure do.
I guess that's what I was getting at with Tip Tapricot's
So this is Jump on the Bat-Wagon.
Oh, yeah,
right.
This
story we watched through the entire DC animated universe from start to finish in the controversial air date order. I'm Brian for the very first time.
I'm Brian for the very first time.
For the very first time. He's never been on this podcast before. Special guest, Brian Manili.
I've also never been Brian.
Yeah, that's just special guest. Who's Brian?
Brian for the very first time.
Broderick, brushy, broccoli, blah,
It's the brushy something?
I don't know.
I think I might have asked that before, or at least I asked it in my head.
I gotta know.
I want to know what brushy is.
I want Marky Kino to tell me. Yeah, we're watching Batman Mask of the Phantasm today. I said it already. This premiered theatrically Saturday, December 25th, 1993, Christmas Day, 1993.
Which, you know what today is?
Not that. It's probably after Christmas by the time you're listening to this. Like I don't know, or right before Christmas. I can't remember how it's working.
What day is this going to come out on?
I don't remember.
That's
what I'm saying. If I shout, will that be good for my voice? Will that help?
Yes,
it
definitely.
helps my voice get better. This also originally released on home video on Laserdisc, April 1994, and VHS, May 1994. Laserdisc came up recently because I gave Brian 2 James Bond Laserdiscs for a Christmas present.
And I'm going to put them on my turntable and see if I can see them.
Ruin them completely.
And the stylus, I imagine.
We have like all hands on deck for this film. We have story by Alan Burnett, screenplay by Alan Burnett, Paul Dini, Martin Pascoe, and Michael Reeves, directed by Eric Radomski and Bruce Timm, sequences directors Kevin Altieri, Boyd Kirkland, Frank Power, and Dan Reba. Art director Glenn Murakami, who would go on to showrun the Teen Titans cartoon, by the way.
Sweet.
Voice director Andrea Romano. I'm including that this time because we never bring her up, and we always should bring her up. But she's going to be the same credit on every episode, so she does the things. And music by Shirley Walker, animation by Dong Yang and Spectrum. There's 2 different companies handling the movie.
Whoa.
It's a big movie.
I'm interested to see if there's any like obvious...
I don't know if there's obvious changes. You just threw a tea bag on the floor and made a very wet sound.
I'm living life to the fullest this morning.
I know the shots that it switches. I hope you're not sitting there the whole movie going like, oh, when's the animation going to change? Oh, there it is. I got it. But you're going to be now that we've talked about it.
Yep.
But yeah, this is going to be quite the lengthy episode, I'm sure. We got big trivs. We got a lot to talk about. I'm sure that we'll have just a decent amount to talk about with the movie itself. Anyway, have I hyped up the movie too much, Brian?
It depends. Is it a good movie?
I think so.
Yes.
Not many other folks think so, though. No one likes this movie.
That's what I've been getting that thought that, you know, people are just like really not, it's like Underdwellers, but like 3 times the length.
Yeah, that's what everybody's saying. I was looking just now because we actually did get a comment yesterday on a video that we did about how there was going to be potentially a Two-Face movie as the first BTAS movie.
Yeah.
And someone commented yesterday, I would have loved a Two-Face movie instead of Mask of the Phantasm. That movie was shit. And I was like, that is the first negative thing I've ever seen about this. So, you know, someone thinks it's a terrible movie.
See, that's the thing, though. Like, to be fair, like something that we do occasionally bring up on the pod that we should maybe bring up more is the idea
our opinions
that, like,
are law. You can't disagree with us.
That's what we bring up. We should bring it up more often. You guys are all wrong if you disagree with us. No, of course, it's that,
you found the hidden meaning of mudslide and we didn't,
God,
you're incorrect.
I'm like legitimately like gonna have to restrain myself from going through those comments because I just want to see.
The Phantasm is actually Clayface, and Clayface is Ghost. Batman killed him.
I like that. But yeah, you know, like people are going to hate this movie. People are going to love this movie. We'll see where I land very soon.
We will.
Here's
the part where I play a clip from the movie and it gets copyright flagged, and then we'll be back to talk about it.
If it gets too flagged, maybe we can just like reenact it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I'll play the cheese stick in the background for some redemption.
Okay. It'll just be... Sounds like it was before. Cheese stick redemption arc. Ready, go.
Do you think we'll really see any of this in our lifetime? Bruce? Bruce, I'm talking to you.
Huh? Oh, I'm sorry, Andy. My mind was on something else.
Like what?
Oh, just, the future.
Anyone's in particular, or just the generic brand?
Well, you know.
No, I don't. Since when do you talk to me about your plans? By the way, Dad's been wanting to meet you.
Oh, yeah?
But I told him you're not up to it yet.
Oh, I can meet him.
Great! I'll call him right now. You sure about this?
Sure, I'm sure. What the heck am I doing, Alfred? This isn't part of the plan. I must be going nuts.
If I may make so bold, Master Bruce, I'd say quite the reverse.
Ain't nothing but a heartache. Ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why I never gonna not avenge my father when he gets killed by the bad guys.
Mob. So you sold him to the bad guys. Brian, you're living in a post-Mask of the Phantasm world now. You seemed pretty psyched as you were watching
Everything
it.
is fresh and beautiful.
I see the world in a grander light than ever before.
It's still kind of gray, but it's
It's raining and it wasn't earlier.
It's also raining champagne.
Raining champagne upon a...
Cheers.
Oh, do it closer to one of the mic. Hang on. Sorry, anticlimactic. Champagne.
They're not the most fluty of champagne flutes.
No. What happened in Batman Mask of the Phantasm? If you can't remember every scene, it's okay. There's a lot.
So I am once more going to try to
Linearly.
do I'm going to try to just give a back of the book.
Right.
Sort of. There is a mysterious bad guy person
Foreshadowing.
who is actively killing mobsters. All the police are like, yo, it's Batman killing people. He's gone rogue. Mm-hmm. And so the police are on a manhunt for the bat. They're on a bat hunt.
Bat hunt.
Yeah.
They're on a man bat hunt. I think it's the man bat again.
Why didn't they consider that, I guess?
I don't know. There's a guy on the hill who's got a spiky cape. It must be Batman. Batman was looking at a car. He must have pushed the car.
Yeah, right? Right? He's on top of the building that a car flew out of the middle of the building.
Yes.
Also, this is like almost the definitive Batman's origin story.
Yeah, you were like, why didn't I guess that? Oh my God. I will say this is probably one of the 2 times in my head that is like I would consider the answer to that. Like
Batman's
if you would have
origin
guessed that, I would be like, yes.
Yeah,
'Cause it's in a most basic terms understanding of like. Oh, Batman's origin story. You would think you'd see like, oh, the Waynes in an alleyway, they get shot and the pearls fall and the little boy's like, no, and all that stuff. You don't get that, but you definitely get like how he became Batman, why he became Batman, all that stuff.
It's not like Bruce's backstory.
Yeah.
It's the transition into Batman.
Yeah,
From dude with cloak and or dude with like cowl or ski mask.
Ski mask guy. Ski mask man, yeah.
Batman. But
It's ski mask leather jacket man.
Batman with a hammer. Man.
Yeah.
Hammerman.
Hammerman.
We were this close to Hammerman.
Hey-ya! It's hammer time. Who's this clown? They say. But yeah, like it's kind of refreshing that this isn't just like, yeah, I've seen this before. I know. Like it's a very original, different thing. I'm getting into it too much.
Yeah. Okay. So Batman's origin story, love story, and so basically we get the story of somebody knocking off all these mobsters and Batman also trying to figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. What will happen in the end?
Meanwhile, pretty lady come back to town who Bruce knew and proposed to.
I guess I didn't mention that at all.
Yeah, an unimportant aspect of the story.
Yeah, I guess I kind of wrapped that into his origin story.
Is that your full synopsis?
I think pretty much, yeah. I guess I can say the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so of all the bad guys, Joker is the last one. Like he's the kingpin or whatever.
He's the chauffeur or whatever in the past, but he's like Homer Simpson guy.
So he's Joker used to be Homer Simpson.
Just Dan Castellaneta. It's me, the Joker. I can't do it, Homer Simpson. Don't.
There you go. Nailed it. So then there's a big
That's when he gets knocked into the vat of acid. He goes, don't.
Yeah. There's a big Joker fight in the world of the future or whatever it is.
Welcome Gotham to the future. We're all robots. That's how the song goes.
I like Adam's interpretation.
Automatons will control everything.
Yeah.
Even the woman in the kitchen will be a robot.
So there's a huge fight, and my God, what was her name?
Andrea.
I was like, Allison? No.
Allison Beaumont.
Don't remember that name.
Beaumont was her last name.
Oh, that's why I don't remember it. Thank you. And so there's a big Joker fight, and Andrea comes back, and Batman's like, you got to leave because you're killing people, and that makes me sad. And then they both kind of end up teaming up on the Joker-ish after a big Batman-Joker fight. And like Batman's like, hey, you got to get out of here. This whole place is going to blow. And she's like, you know what? Nah, I'm going to hold the Joker in place. So when this whole place explodes, we're all going to die. Mm-hmm. The whole place explodes.
None of them die, maybe.
The only one we didn't get any confirmation of was the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
But so no one really possibly dies. The Joker probably doesn't die.
The end.
The end. Bat Signal.
She's on a boat.
Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet Boys, the end. All right, I'll give you the official synopsis. Now, there were several official synopses to choose from. I think I went with the one that was on the back of the VHS case. And I might be wrong about this, someone currently holding the VHS case while listening to this, but this was the press released thingy-mabob. When Gotham City's most feared gangsters are systematically eliminated, the ones we had never met before this movie.
Right.
It's Rupert Thorne, every new gangster. Nope. The worst is feared, that the Caped Crusader is to blame. But prowling the Gotham night is a shadowy new villain, the Phantasm, a sinister figure with a troublesome link to Batman's past. Can the Dark Knight elude the police, capture the Phantasm, and clear his name? That last part, unresolved. Unmasking the Phantasm is just one of the twists in Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Quote, one of the most imaginative films of the past year. Chuck Rich, Westwood One. Only here will you discover...
Chuck Rich?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was a little bit biased because he was like Bruce Wayne Rich, Chuck Rich. Chucky Saul.
Chunky boy.
Chubby Saul. Only here will you discover all new revelations about Batman's past, his arch-rival the Joker, and the most grueling battle of Batman's life, the choice between his love of a beautiful woman and his vow to be the defender of right. Batman Mask of the Phantasm is, quote, a mystery that is genuinely absorbing, suspenseful, and moving, Cincinnati Enquirer, and a film no fan should be without. Do you agree?
Yeah. For the last sentence, anyway.
Yeah. Cincinnati Enquirer. I totally agree that Cincinnati Enquirer. Yeah. So I will say, as I've said before, I have a shit ton of trivs for this, so I don't want to talk too much about the movie before I just start getting into that, because I think it will open up discussions that we can continue to have.
Do you really want to read all 8 pages?
I do. I want you to know all this shit, bro.
Okay.
It's cool shit.
I'm just saying it better not be just neat ones.
There will be some of those, but there's a lot of very interesting stuff.
Throw them away.
I'll sift mentally through them. But yeah, you like the movie? You like it?
I thought it was like one of the best foreshadowing things we've seen on this journey.
Well, for sure. It's unfortunate that I think when people are like, Batman the Animated Series, that was this amazing thing. I think they're thinking of this movie, and then they just kind of by osmosis includes the cartoon also, which isn't like, it's not like the show so far has been like overall like bad. There's just been a lot of highs and lows, and then this movie was like, we're gonna put everything we have into this. It's gonna be the most like beautiful thing you've ever seen, and especially when we come off of stuff like just a handful
mudslide.
Well, I wasn't gonna say mudslide specifically, but I know what you mean. The kind of like weirder, less bad. Yeah, the like, oh well, that was an episode. Like, you can't really say that about this movie, I don't think. I want you to talk about what you liked about it, because I'll just gush for the next 2 hours about everything that I love about it. But
I mean, do you want me to tell you what I loved about it now, or do you want to get into your 8 pages of trivs?
You can tell me what you loved, and then I will tell you other things. We will structure the podcast in such a way.
Yes, that sounds like 2 people talking into microphones.
Yes, what I liked is that Batman was in it.
I liked that Batman was in it.
Mm-hmm. Do you? I have a question. I guess we've been watching all these Batman episodes, and I think even me rewatching them, Batman tends to be the least interesting character in the episodes. Do you feel like you're at least a little bit more like, oh, I give a shit about Batman himself after this movie, or are you still kind of in that like, well, whatever kind of range?
No, that was like one of the biggest things. I think one of the biggest things that I really loved about this movie was just how much it was like actually about like, Batman, Bruce Wayne, like the whole like collective.
Opening a drink.
Like that whole encapsulation of like, just Bruce's journey.
Yeah.
And there was times where I felt like legitimately like, oh fuck, like what's gonna happen? Like the whole like construction, the Batman running from like the entirety of the Gotham police force, who's just like out for blood.
Cooper made a good point of like, why do they never do this for any of the actual villains? They never just send like the entire world after a person unless it's Batman murdering people.
You know what? I think I have an answer for that.
What?
A lot of the times, like the cops seem to only have like the faintest grasp of what's going on with the bad guys.
That's true, yeah.
This was like, Batman's killing people. It's all over the newspapers. This is a big public like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
we gotta do something
It's not
about it.
Batman like uncovering some riddle or something that they wouldn't even know about. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, like pretty consistent art and pretty like.
It was beautiful.
Pretty like really good stuff. That whole opening like CGI city that the camera's flying through for the opening credits, and then like it transitions into a painting that's obviously not the same CGI city, but you immediately were like, oh, that looks so good.
I think almost everybody was just like, oh my, wow, yeah.
Yeah, and also right off the bat, he just crashes in the window to break up that meeting, the mobster meeting,
and just like starts kicking.
He just fucks those guys up so quickly. Yeah, it's such a like. I don't think I've ever watched the movie in this specific way of like watching it when it came out among the rest of the episodes. Yeah, there's a dramatic shift in like. This is just like Batman's kicking ass, action packed. Like, do not mess with this guy.
Yeah, this is something you've alluded to a lot. Is I think like Batman and Justice League is just like super capable. Yeah, and this is I think without much exception the most capable we've seen.
Yeah.
You know, like, because just what, an episode or two ago, he's like falling over backwards over a janitor cart with like one guy who's like practiced throwing scalpels and he's getting his ass kicked. Yeah. And this, he's like, okay, well, here's like 5 guys with guns and I'm going to kick their asses.
The only thing in that scene that's like, what is whenever, and you kind of said this was like, Batman, the bad guys right up the staircase, don't run after them or anything, just stare at the staircase and go, I guess they got away.
Like the person's leaving a visible trail of smoke. Just go up the stairs.
This is the start of the movie. You can't get them immediately.
I mean, you could have started the movie earlier.
So you were pretty, I think, fooled by you didn't suspect that it was Andrea as the Phantasm.
I did actually.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I was holding my tongue because I didn't know, like, you know, I was like, oh, the dad, like, that's a pretty cool, like, the voice, you know, the first time we hear the Phantom.
It's the same voice actor doing the dad as Phantasm.
Is it actually?
The red herring,
Yeah, so that was like, interesting, but it was also like, you know, voice modulated, and I was kind of open to it. The big giveaway was Bruce and Andrea? Yeah. Andrea's fight at the beginning where she was like basically just as capable as Batman.
Oh, yeah. So that early you kind of suspecting. Okay. Well, I just enjoyed that your girlfriend next to you is going like, oh, it's her dad. Yeah. And then I kind of like glanced like, she thinks it's the dad. And then whenever later when the Batman's like, the man in the costume, your father, and she's like, I knew it. I'm like, she still thinks it's the dad.
Well, to be fair, there's like a really good, like, again, it's a red herring.
Yeah.
But the whole, like, when he's like, pack your bags, we have 24 hours to leave.
Whatever Andrea's it takes, dad. I'm going to kill those guys. Or
basically, yeah. It's like, okay, so the like homeboy's like ready to make something happen, but you don't know that he's dead. So is Andrea the Phantasm before her father's killed?
So
that was in the timeline was confusing.
Yeah. So the flashbacks of this movie and the non-flashbacks even today are a little bit like, what is a flashback? Like, I know exactly which scenes like are flashbacks, but as a kid especially, I'm like, what the hell's going on in this movie? Like, when is anything happening? Like, there's a line at the end of the movie even where Alfred is metaphorically talking about Andrea having like gone off the deep end or whatever, and he says like, she fell into that pit years ago. And my little kid brain took that as like, oh, that whole scene we just watched at the World's Fair exploding where she's presumably dead happened years ago, and here we are in the Batcave now. And like, it's just such a like, it's just on the edge of being like a little too, you know, like I think it would have been annoying if the flashbacks were like blatantly black and white or something like that. So I get why they didn't do that, because it's half the movie is that. But there's plenty of moments like that where, because so Andrea's father dying happened like right after the flashback of her getting proposed to and stuff like that.
Oh,
so he's been dead like the whole time. He was never the Phantasm.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. See, I was curious, and that was definitely thrown. And I think I half said this just a minute ago.
Yeah.
But the idea that like my questioning, like my impression that I was like not convinced on was, did she come back as the Phantasm and she was like gonna steal her dad, and then
the only part that linearly doesn't actually make much sense is that the first time you see the Batman, the Phantasm kill somebody, Chucky Saul in the carport or whatever, he dies. You see the Phantasm there. Then we cut to the scene of Andrea on the plane, like arriving in Gotham City, looking at the magazine with Bruce Wayne's face on it and stuff.
Oh,
which doesn't really make much sense unless she did that and then left the town and then got on a plane and came back just for the audience to not think that it's her.
Okay, wait. Here's a question. That could have been a flashback, right?
No, I don't think so.
Why couldn't that have been a flashback? Did the other ones?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they all had like a kind of swirly, like wobbly transition into them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe they wrote it that way originally, like in order, and then they were like, "Oh, it's way too obvious."
Plot device.
Plot
hole.
device.
I don't know. Yeah, it's whatever though. It doesn't ruin the movie in any way.
No.
But yeah. What do you think of the music?
The music, except for the ending credits, was great.
Yeah, I asked Dan about that. Like, is there a story behind like why this song is there? It doesn't make any sense or whatever. He didn't know, so I have to assume that it's just one of those like this was a popular song or like we need to attach this to a movie or something like that, and they're just like do it. And I guess thematically it kind of makes sense, like it's about like a lost love or something like that, but. It does feel very out of place. It's always funny because like
a slow jazz 90s love song coming on the tail end of like a really like crazy movie.
Yeah, really like emotionally dark Batman movie. Yeah.
Like that would have only made sense if it was satirical and it was a Deadpool style thing where you had like weird Batman animations of like the bloopers in the movie or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I feel like, I don't know, it's always come off to me as like, even like Lion King and Aladdin and stuff have like the like pop version of one of their main songs or whatever playing in them. So it's always kind of come up to me like that, like, oh, it's a requirement. A 90s animated movie, we have to put a weird pop ballad in the end credits.
Dude, it could be.
I don't know. You know, moving your microphone.
This might make yours go too.
No.
Okay. I need a better posture.
But yeah. Yeah, you kept singing the Batman animated series theme before the movie started. Like, nope, not in there. It's not in there. Were you disappointed by the lack of Batman the animated series theme song?
No.
The bonk didn't explode.
I put it in there in my heart.
Let's talk about the cast because we're gonna get into a bunch of shit here.
Okay,
you liked the movie is the answer. What? What are you fucking doing? You got it?
Give me the cast.
Okay, the cast. We got Kevin Conroy as Batman. What do you know? We got Dana Delaney as Andrea Beaumont. Her main things at the time, she was in 61 episodes of China Beach as Colleen McMurphy. Never heard of that.
Nope.
65 episodes later as Catherine Mayfair in Desperate Housewives.
Never heard of it.
She played main character Megan Hunt on Body of Proof, which was like an early 2000s
Never
TV
heard
show.
of it.
She played a character named Sesha Abenel on Battlestar Galactica for one episode, so I had to mention that.
Never heard of it.
She will be back as another major DCAU voice.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. I don't know, like, she must have done something that caught their eye or something like that, because one of the tribs coming up later, she didn't audition for the role. They like sought her out, like, we want Dana Delaney.
Maybe it would be interesting. Something we actually learned last night when talking with this fella that ran the venue that the Dark Room event was at. Apparently, a lot of voice actors get gigs by working at studios. So maybe she happened to work at a studio that like resulted in her.
I don't know.
Like them finding out about her or something.
Yeah, or maybe did something that one of them knew specifically. I don't know. We got Hart Bochner as Arthur Reeves. He plays Ellis in Die Hard. How familiar are you with Die Hard?
Not as familiar as I should be, but
he's the like kind of jackass guy that's like, hey, I'll help you out, Professor Snape. Let me come into this room with you and we'll work out a deal. And he gets shot and killed.
Okay.
He played a character named Ethan in the Supergirl 1984 movie, which I haven't seen, but it seemed relevant. His father is Lloyd Bochner, voice of Mayor Hamilton Hill.
Oh.
So that was kind of cool. I didn't know that. Never knew that until writing this up. So that was neat. Stacy Keach Jr. as Phantasm and Carl Beaumont. He currently is on Man with a Plan TV series, a Matt LeBlanc TV series, as Joe Burns. He plays Matt LeBlanc's dad. He was Warden Henry Pope on Prison Break, which was a show that Jessica and I watched a decent amount of, and I kept being like, that's Phantasm, like every time he would show up. Mike Hammer on Mike Hammer Private Eye, 97 to 98. There were also a bunch of other Mike Hammer movies in the 80s, apparently. That must be his, like, known for thing, but I don't know what that is.
Huh.
And he played Commander Malloy in Escape from L.A.
Not really familiar with any of those.
What? Abe Vigoda as Salvatore Valestra. He plays Sal Tessio in Godfather 1 and 2 and various video games.
That's typecasting.
Yes, it is. And he plays a character named Otis in Good Burger.
Again, typecasting.
Yeah, of course. Dick Miller as Chucky Saul. He plays Mr. Futterman in Gremlins and Gremlins 2. You'd recognize his face. Foz Knight in 6 episodes of The Flash, 90 to 91. I don't know who that character that is. Buck Gardner in Piranha, 1978. Walter Paisley in The Howling, 1981, who he reprised in Chopping Mall, 1986. Officer Miller in 1941. Danny Clayton in Amazon Women on the Moon, which is a movie that you and I should watch together if you've never seen it. It's a
I
great
haven't.
movie.
I'd love to.
Garbage Man in The Burbs, the Tom Hanks movie. And Pawn Shop Clerk in Terminator.
Okay.
He's a character actor that you'd probably recognize.
Mm-hmm.
He was just in some Red Letter Media terrible movie that they watched, and I was just like, why do I know that guy? Oh, he's in Gremlins, of course. John P. Ryan as Buzz Bronski. Who you're like, Rupert Thorne. It does kind of look like him, understandably. He's a bunch of small roles, including Starsky and Hutch, Hawaii Five-0, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, MASH, Miami Vice, and The Right Stuff. He played a character named Nathan White in Charles Bronson's Death Wish 4, and General Taylor in Chuck Norris's Delta Force 2, The Colombian Connection. Those are the two standout things to me. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. as Alfred, Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon, Robert Costanzo as Detective Bullard. You jerks! Mark Hamill as the Joker.
Of course.
And then we have additional voices. Most of these people were other voices in the show. We have Jane Downs. Couldn't find anyone that she did. Pat Music, who we just had in the last episode. Or no, in Mudslide as Stella Bates. She's also flight attendant. Stella! Flight attendant in Terror in the Sky and female lab technician in On Leather Wings.
Yeah.
She was the announcer here. So I'm not sure what announcer that one was, a news person or something. I can't remember.
Maybe it was like the voice at the World's Fair.
Oh, probably. Yes, I think that makes sense. Vernie Watson Johnson as she was party guest. I think the black lady that was like, oh, don't never say the M word in front of Bruce. Oh. You're like, the N word? Yeah. Excuse me? She was Doctor in Fire from Olympus and Dana Blessing in The Worry Men, the secretary lady. Ed Gilbert played Jake and Dugan, who were Buzz Bronski's like dudes at the car.
Yeah.
He was he was Mr. Haley in Robin's Reckoning, the circus owner dude. Peter Renaday was the doctor. Councilman, please! He was second longshoreman in Terror in the Sky. It's like, there's a man bat eating all my fruit here. We got Jeff Bennett as Laughing Biker Thug. That guy. He was Office Boy in The Clock King and Hardak in Heart of Steel and his Silicon Soul.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's famous.
He's famous. Charles Howerton was Thug, so it could have been one of many different guys. He was Lenny in Robin's Reckoning, the pimp in the alleyway, and Captor in The Demon's Quest, that guy that we were like, why is an Irishman here in Ra's al Ghul's thing? Tom Pinto, didn't have anybody. Mary Lou Henner was Veronica Vreeland in Birds of a Feather and The Worry Men. And then Neil Ross, who has been Auctioneer in The Cat and the Claw Part 1, Chairman in Hardly and Ivy, Jake in Birds of a Feather, and Ratso in Read My Lips. And that's all the cast.
Sweet.
Yeah. Good cast.
Great cast.
So I got a lot of trips. I'm just going to jump into it.
Yeah, man.
We'll see it. Okay, goofs. I've separated these into categories because there's a lot of shit. Okay. Goofs. During the flashback of Bruce and Andreas beginning their relationship, she's wearing a sleeveless dress. However, sleeves appear on it when Bruce trips her. Did you notice this?
Didn't notice.
Because you guys were too busy like, that she likes it. Or When Batman shows Andrea the picture of her father and the gangsters, his hand holding the picture is missing its glove. But in the next close-up shot, the glove is back on his hand.
Shoot.
I've never noticed that until this time because I was looking for it. It's so blink and you miss it. It's not even like, I expected it was going to be like the close-up of him like showing her the picture and you just see like skin fingers.
Yeah.
But it's just like one really far away shot where his hand is just colored skin color. I'm like, cool. Really worth it. Yeah. The grave of Bruce's parents looks completely different than how it was seen in the Batman animated series episode Nothing to Fear. There's an episode where he's like wearing sunglasses, standing at the grave and walks away, and his shadow is Batman.
Yeah.
It's a completely different design, but it looks like this from now on, as far as I can remember. Unlike in the series, Batman does not wear a helmet over his cowl or riding the Batcycle. There's that one scene of him driving it into the giant fan, and he's just like, I don't have time to put a helmet on. During the flashback sequences of the film, Bruce is seen practicing a fighting style, which according to him is jiu-jitsu.
It's
Gesundheit. However, Bruce's fighting style and movements were in reality more likely taekwondo or karate. The movement that Andrea performed on him, however, was jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I clocked that
You
in the
did,
moment.
yeah.
Yep.
So I don't have it included here, but your biggest thing the whole movie was, that's not how windshields break. We gotta...
That's not how that works.
You were very upset every time a windshield would explode or get cracked or anything, or a window even, when Joker jumps out the window.
Yeah. So stuff like that has to be a safety glass, has to be tempered glass, which doesn't create shards. It creates like tiny
Just
little
a little
rubble.
spider web of stuff.
If it shatters in, it's
well, so
tiny
you
little cubes.
were saying that since the 70s, maybe is what you're or whatever.
I want to actually fact check this one.
Because one of your roommates was asking like, is there a year that this movie is set like on the timeline? And then you immediately laughed.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it's like mid 1990s. Or like, I think it's 90s. Oh God, I'm going to get this wrong. I think it's 93, late 93 or something like that. Or around when the movie came out. But yeah, then you're like, oh, well, windshields have been built like this since 1970 something. What is it?
1930.
Okay. Well, then I was going to give it a loophole there of like, well, everything's 40s looking, so maybe the windshields are made of 40s glass.
Yeah, I was way off. But yeah. So there you go.
The last thing I have is just a little bit of a funny thing that we mentioned during the movie. It's somewhat ironic that Batman asks Andrea, what will vengeance solve, considering he considers himself to be vengeance. Yeah. Well,
She's
then she
really
snaps
good
it
at
right back
calling him.
at him. Yeah. She has several moments where the whole room went like, oh, get him, Andrea. Like, shit.
Yeah, she was
Only
relentless.
controlled by his parents is you. Yeah. Okay, we got callbacks / allusions. Chucky Saul's line when he tries to run over the Phantasm, "This time I've got you, you lousy stinkin'," is almost exactly what was said by Tony Zuko in the Batman animated series episode Robin's Reckoning, which he almost runs Batman over. "Now I've got you, you lousy stinkin'." Basically the same thing. Joker's line when he's offered a lot of money by Salvatore Valestra to take out Batman, "What do I look like, pest control?"
He said that before, right?
Is the same line said by Dr. March to Bruce Wayne in the episode On Leather Wings.
Oh, okay.
About like, oh, you got bats in your chimney, you piece of shit?
Yeah.
What do I look like, a fucking guy? This is the third time we see Batman's original costume with a much more pouch-like belt and lack of yellow behind the bat insignia, which was previously seen in flashbacks, Robin's Reckoning and The Mechanic. In the 2020 debut season of the BTAS follow-up comic, Batman The Adventures Continue, which is questionably canon to the series, it's revealed that Batman's costume rack also holds the bright red original Batman costume conceptualized by Batman co-creator Bob Kane, before other creator Bill Finger stepped in to fix it to what we know now. I would like to show you what Batman could have looked like had the other co-creator not stepped in.
Bring it. I'm sorry.
Blonde hair, red costume. No mask, no headgear.
He looks...
This is the original drawing, so yeah.
He looks like he belongs in musical theater.
Yeah. Well,
I am the Bat.
The Batman, yeah.
Did you know I am the Bat and I'm here to enforce vengeance or whatever?
I believe in God. I am the tiger. I mean, he looks more like a tiger than red bats, The costume Bruce doodles on a notepad and then scribbles out vaguely resembles Space Ghost. What were you going to say?
Oh my God, it does. I wonder if that's I mean, I guess there could be a callback. What? There's a
Red Fox or whatever,
and
Flying
I think
Fox.
It's the second or third time I've actually talked about this in the podcast. Angelo Badalamenti, David Lynch's like main composer dude.
Yes, you have brought him up.
Wrote a song for I think the Lost Highway soundtrack. It must be the Lost Highway soundtrack called "Red Bats with Teeth."
Ooh,
and I'm like, that could just be a Lynchian sort of thing, but like I wonder if there's some kind of like red bat, maybe it's smiling Batman with a red outfit. I don't know.
Yeah. Harvey Bullock, seen in the flashbacks as a beat cop, same as we saw him in the flashbacks from Robin's Reckoning, which I was worried that you were going to miss because there's a very long shot where it's just a profile shot of him and the other cop, like his superior or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like drinking coffee in the car nonchalantly as the like truck with Bruce Wayne's ski mask on the back of it drives by.
Yeah.
And then he like mid sip looks out and all his coffee everywhere. And that entire shot, you were like getting a blanket over you and Laura, and I'm like, fuck, you're gonna miss Harvey Bullock. But then it cuts to a different shot of him like taking his hat off, and you're like, Bullock. I'm like, oh, good. You didn't miss the cool thing.
I need to do a quick check. What was the date this came out?
1993, December 25th.
Oh, right.
Why?
1994.
What?
Release date, May 1984.
That's for the video, yeah.
There are so many near exact similarities between this and the movie The Crow.
Okay.
So in The Crow, there's a scene where you have two cops sitting in a cop car. They just get some hot coffee, and a bad guy goes speeding by, and this like one dude like the driver cop
yeah.
I think he throws his coffee out the window, and like the other guy like spills it on himself and screams.
Yeah.
There's a scene in The Crow where the Crow is like running on rooftops as a spotlight helicopter is chasing him. Like there are so many times I'm like, that's the Crow, that's the Crow, that's the Crow, that's the Crow.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Even the very entrance, the boardroom, like fighting the guys, like that's almost like shot for shot a Crow thing.
Well, you would think that they'd already be filming that.
They would have had to have been.
They couldn't have been like, 6 months turnaround on the movie.
Yeah, if it released in May and they had to like take some extra time to like rotoscope or CGI whatever Brandon Lee's face onto a couple of other people, shots.
Yeah.
There's like it probably would have come out in like February or March at the earliest, maybe even like New Year-ish. So they would have been like in production at the same time. But there's just so many. Can you?
I've never heard a like explicit Crow connection, but like I can see it that there might be some influence somehow. Yeah,
I want to like compile. Like shot for shot.
There, I will get to a part where I've other like references to other movies, so we'll see if maybe that kind of sparks anything.
Word.
During a flashback, Bruce Wayne sees a model car at the Gotham World's Fair that resembles the future Batmobile.
Yeah, that was
It's likely he got this inspiration to later help Earl Cooper design the Batmobile as seen in the animated series The Mechanic. This was something when when we watched The Mechanic, I brought this up as like a tiny bit of a plot hole because he looks at the car and he's like, oh, I'm just thinking about the future or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like obviously like the Batmobile design or very, very, very close. But the car that we see him pull up with like a Batman face on the front of it when he's like, Earl Cooper, I need your help to fix my shit. It doesn't look anything like that car. So like maybe he was just working his way up to it, but why would he have a different car? I don't know. I've always considered that a little bit weird. They probably weren't talking to each other about it, but
good point.
Then Earl Cooper's like, oh, by the way, I saw this cool World's Fair car. Oh yeah, no, I wasn't there as Bruce Wayne.
by the way, did you see the Joker's wife chopping bologna?
Excuse me? Just the Joker's wife? He pinches the little like skin bits off of her face. When you were like, did he pinch that off her butt? I had never considered that that's probably exactly what he did.
Yeah, because he's got his hand like lower back.
He's like smacking her butt. Yeah. And then he picks off another piece. Yeah.
Yeah. And he puts it in his pocket.
Yeah. He's like, I keep this for later. I wonder if he lost it during the jetpack scene. You just see the little bread bits fly out of the jacket. Everyone's putting bread in their costumes. When a masked Bruce Wayne confronts a gang on his own before becoming Batman, he uses a shuriken as a weapon.
Yeah.
The Japanese hidden hand blade was a concealed weapon and the same one used by the ninja in BTAS. Bruce possibly got this weapon due to having gone through the same martial arts training as Kyodai Ken.
Yeah.
Woman who splashes wine in Bruce's face near the beginning of the movie. It's the same character model as the woman seen on Bruce's arm at the opening of the Joker's Wild Casino in the episode of the same name. Perhaps their date did not go so well. That was one that I added because I've always noticed, like, that's the same lady.
You know, it's funny because, again, like, I'm still, like, learning these things. Yeah. I honestly thought it was Andrea.
As a kid, I thought that was Andrea in that scene. I'm like, why would they give another red-headed woman? Because the only thing you see of her is her red hair and like her mouth on the plane. And then the next scene, Bruce gets wine splashed in his face by a red-headed woman. Yeah. I'm like, why?
I guess they were just trying to do like the diversity hire thing. Maybe. Because we had like, you know, we had a white girl, we had a black girl, we had an Asian girl with the blackest eyes. What the? And I think again, everybody in the room was like,
what's wrong with her eyes?
The fuck? Why is she that way?
Yeah. That's something that as I like, you know, get older and I'm more like paying attention to the specifics of the art and not just like, I'm watching Batman, I'm a child. Yeah. It's stuff like that does stick out. Like, that's how you decided to like personify like Asian person is like demon eyes. Like, oh my God, why? No, engagement, she says. And snakes start pouring out of her mouth.
What was it? The E word or the I word?
Engagement, yeah. We, on our channel right now,
there's a lot about that character, I just realized. Wow.
On the channel, our like little like promo that plays every time now that's like, subscribe, like, blah, blah, blah. It has a comment and then the audio is going, engagement. Her character name, it's never mentioned like to tie to her, but is named Miss Bambi is her name. And that's the one who Alfred comes through the door being like, pardon me, sir, Miss Bambi is dancing on the piano or whatever.
Oh!
Her voice actor is not credited, but she's Arlene Sorkin, who's Harley Quinn.
Oh!
Yeah.
That would also explain the similarity there.
Yeah. Okay. It's a very similar voice, yeah. Okay, references to other movies. As Batman walks through the scale model city searching for the Joker, a model of the Warner Brothers studio is clearly displayed with the WB shield.
That was too blatant. That was probably my least favorite part of the movie.
Very in your face. Yeah, it's like, why is there this fourth wall break? But then again, we got the Warner Brothers logo in the mudslide also. So I guess Warner Brothers exists inside of Batman the Animated Series.
I guess
they do watch Looney Tunes. They have watched Looney Tunes.
I guess that's a video. You probably made
it's on my list.
Around that.
It's on my list.
Okay.
Looney Tunes existing inside Batman the Animated Series, and then Batman the Animated Series existing inside Looney Tunes. So, you know.
Oh, that's fucked.
It never ends. The scene where Batman's attacked by miniature planes in a miniature city, an homage to the final scene in King Kong, which also was mentioned as we were watching.
So I accidentally called that one.
Yeah, there's even a miniature building identical to the Empire State Building.
No, yeah, it was the one the Joker was wearing.
Yeah. Which he just smashes the fuck out of onto Batman. That was something that
I kind of liked that.
This is coming up, but like apparently like the sound effects, the normal sound effects artists for the show were like too overwhelmed or whatever with the movie. So the sound effects team on this movie is like a Hollywood like feature film sound effects crew. It shows and I hadn't ever noticed that before, but like holy shit, some of the stuff is like really like deep and like in your face, and like even just Joker hitting Batman over the head with that building. We're like, fuck, man. Like, holy shit. Yeah.
To be fair, the subwoofer in the living room is like a little bit hotter than it should be.
No, that was perfect.
But it was it's a thing.
When Bruce leaps in slow motion to kick the biker thug, the move and camera work are nearly identical to a moment from Akira. This is the second time after.
That's why it's so familiar. Oh my God!
It's the second time.
Oh
after,
my fucking God! Yes.
After
hold
Robin's
on,
motorcycle.
Hold on.
Did you have that moment watching it of like, I know what this is. Why do I know what this is?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it must be a BTAS callback, and I couldn't place it. But now you say, I'm like, yeah, that's like again, like exactly
the, like, anime line flashing background, and
stuff,
even
like his like knee positioning and stuff. Because in the movie, wow, it's been a while since I've seen Akira, but like I remember seeing like in the same way. I'm like, oh, is like Bruce gonna land on the dude's neck with his knees or something?
Right. Yeah.
And I think I had that same thought when watching Akira. I'm like, oh, that guy's like clearly gonna land on the dude's neck.
Yeah.
That's wild. Oh, I like that.
It's the second one after. So we've had the Robin motorcycle slide. We've had this, and there's at least one more in my head right now that is like just ripped right from it.
Yeah.
But there's probably other like subtle ones in like Batman Beyond, because it's more like a cyberpunky kind of setting then.
Huh, okay.
But I don't know for sure. I need to rewatch that to be like, because then I'll recognize the DCAU stuff in the movie, having seen most like that many more times.
There was that part in Mask of the Phantasm, like where Batman's walking down that hallway and they're like the bad guys come up with the guns, and then Batman just like explodes his mass and squishes the security guards against the walls. I'm making an Akira joke.
Okay, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? There was a giant laser. Okay, we got some James Bond references.
Yeah.
The Joker's jetpack, same one from Thunderball.
Yeah.
Which you probably recognize. And Carl Beaumont is drawn to resemble Marc-Ange Draco from On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Haven't seen it.
Which, yeah, one of the ones that I got you on Laserdisc for Christmas.
Laserdisc.
So you can be like, hey, look, it's Carl Beaumont later. The scene where Batman's washed down the sewer is a shot-for-shot remake of the scene where Lupin is washed down an aqueduct in Lupin III, The Castle of Cagliostro, which I've never seen, but we also had a reference to that in the Clock King episode, I believe.
Clocking?
The Clocking, yeah. All right, music and sound. The World of the Future Fair is inspired by the 1964 New York World's Fair, the song playing Welcome to the Future, similar to There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, which played in the Disney/General Electric sponsored Progress Land.
Yeah, I remember that from when I was there in 1960.
Yeah.
What year is for?
64.
Yeah, I was there.
You were 10. The end credits song, I Never Even Told You, is a rare singing performance by Tia Carrera, actress known for her roles as Cassandra in Wayne's World 1 and 2, the voice of Nani in Lilo and Stitch, antagonist Juno Skinner in True Lies, and protagonist Dr. Sidney Fox in the 1999 to 2002 TV series Relic Hunter.
Wow.
Composer Shirley Walker also scored True Lies, which she was in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Interview with Shirley Walker in Film Score Monthly number 49. I should mention, by the way.
There's a magazine.
Yeah, Film Score Monthly. I should mention that, by the way, that Maddie helped me find a decent amount of these trivs. I purposely asked them, I want as many trivs as possible. I'm only finding a certain amount. So a bunch of magazines and stuff that I dug through that I
Thank you, Maddie,
have.
for for assisting on these 8 pages.
Hey, it's going well so far, I would say.
Listen, friend, we gotta have words of gratitude. I'm gonna make you tea.
So the magazine asks, the only problem with the Batman CD, the soundtrack, is that once your music is over, I have to rush and turn it off before the end credits song comes on. Shirley Walker says, oh, I know, it's mean. Although I did come to like that song, I had to hear it so many times.
Oh, boy.
It's not it is really cheesy and dumb, but it's a special place in my heart because of this movie.
I know, as I was watching the credits go by, because I do like to watch the credits.
Look over at me and I'm just,
No, I just kept just sitting there and watching it, and you just hear you in the corner.
I never even told you. Yeah. I thought you knew. I'm going to move on from that. For the movie's opening credit sequence, producer Eric Radomski and Warner Brothers Animation's computer division, 1993, we have a computer division instead of just existing, were asked to model a 2-minute 3D sequence, a computer-generated flight through Gotham City. Supervisor Alan Brown, who created the program which rendered the cityscape, said, "We picked the best buildings from the last 65 episodes rendered by the crew's background artists and set them in place throughout the motion path. After 2 months' work, we rendered the sequence directly to 35mm film in about 50 hours with 64 processors."
I would give pretty much all the money I have to
watch that happen.
No, I wanna see that 35mm film.
Yeah.
Do you think Dan has access to that by any chance?
He has some clips, but I don't think he has.
I remember he showed us some films.
Yeah,
was that?
But that's
on the
all
podcast?
cutting room floor, extra frames that weren't actually.
Yeah,
in
didn't
the
he
thing.
just literally take them off the floor?
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
He just kept them. Yeah.
I want to see if that's archived somewhere. That'd be super cool, and maybe I'll take it into the darkroom and make a print. I'm saying theoretically I can get my hands on this 35mm film.
Hey Dan Reba, email us. Email us.
My address is 472 Big
Bus, Oregon. Little red wagon on the street corner. Paul Dini stated in Comic Scene magazine number 40 that the 3D city was intended to be used multiple times in the film and even later in the animated series as well, but ultimately never was.
Well,
It's probably because it took 50 hours with 64 processors.
Yeah.
But it does remind me of, I wonder if this had any influence at all on the Spider-Man animated series, because the buildings, the city in that is, almost, entirely CG all the time.
What do you think the chances are that they used it?
I don't think it's the same city, but I don't think it looks similar enough.
Drink your champagne.
I did.
Oh, good.
Opening theme contains an in-joke. While the choral chanting is reminiscent of Latin phraseology. And in an interview with cinemusic.com, composer Shirley Walker explained that the Latin, quote-unquote, lyrics were actually names of key Warner Brothers staff, orchestrators, and other crew members sung backwards.
I was honestly like making an attempt to listen to the words because like having done enough choral work, like you kind of like,
Pick
in
up
like
on,
fucking Catholic church, you
Sure.
kind of like learn some basic what's going on in Latin, and I was like, I don't recognize
any
this,
of
so I
this.
kind of just like washed over and just let it keep playing.
Yeah.
That's
and I have to
hilarious.
wonder if the same thing is true of like the ending with when the fire's like coming over the horizon and there's a bunch of like Latin happening, like, oh my God, fire. Like, I wonder if that's also like Paul Dini Bruce Tim, you know, whatever. Reba. Yeah. This is it. It's so fun. Like the Joker. What if the Joker knows? That's why he's laughing. He knows it's funny words backwards.
Oh my
He's,
God.
like, breaking the fourth wall.
Make that a thing, Jamie. I need to know.
The film's score was conducted by Shirley Walker and performed by 2 orchestras, one consisting of 110 players and another of 80, up from the usual 30 to 40 musicians used on the series.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a jump, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Who do we have any idea who the orchestra was?
I don't know, probably some LA group.
Yeah.
There's a couple groups that
Was it
do
the
like the
Laco?
majority of film scores, so I don't know. I don't know.
I want to know that. My buddy used to work for the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra.
That's something that my mom has like always wanted to do, was like be in one of those, like, I'm saxophone 5 in this movie or whatever.
The same buddy who worked at Laco is now working at the South Bend, Indiana Orchestra. So she
cool.
wants to travel to Indiana to be in a thing. I probably got a connection for her.
Composer Shirley Walker first met Danny Elfman. I included this here because we haven't really talked about her and how she got on the show. She first met Danny Elfman while working on the early 90s The Flash TV series, which he also like did the theme for.
Oh, sweet.
After which she became Elfman's conductor on Batman 1989.
Oh!
Another cool thing that I think was in the back of my head, but I had forgotten completely, was that Hans Zimmer was the synthesize player on this movie.
I saw in the credits that his name was there,
Synthesizer.
but I like looked away and looked back and saw Hans Zimmer, but didn't see what he was credited for.
In Film Score Monthly, September 1994.
God damn it, Film
This is
Score
with,
Monthly.
Hans Zimmer. It's sort of this thing after a while, playing by yourself gets a bit boring. The only influence is yourself, and that gets really boring. And so with Shirley, I have this deal. Whenever she does something, I become her session player, and that's great. I see how somebody else approaches a cue, how somebody else works a piece of music out, and she's so knowledgeable. I want Shirley to have more. I want her to write more. She's such a great writer. I just love hearing her stuff. I thought that Batman thing was just unbelievable. Just hearing some of the tracks that she was working on was such a thrill. I hope people start taking notice of her, and I think it's the fact that she's a girl. There are not a lot of girl composers. It's stupid, really stupid.
Whoa.
She's better than most of what's out there. She's definitely better at a lot of things than I am, because I still have to go, Shirley, how would you solve this orchestration? Can they play this? She knows all this stuff.
Dude, Hans Zimmer being a feminist in 94?
Yeah, and
what
being
a
like,
fucking badass.
I need your help, Shirley Walker, yeah.
Dude, that's, I mean, like,
Yeah.
pretty obscure
I should have read it with a
publication.
German accent. Or Austrian, whatever he is, yeah.
Like, I realize it's like relatively obscure publication, at least to me, but like that is super cool that he was calling her out.
Yeah. Like I said, regular animated series sound effects crew did not have enough manpower to handle the film. Regular feature film sound crew was brought in. When the Joker shoots the robots at the World's Fair, the sound of them winding down is the sound of the Millennium Falcon winding down from Star Wars Episode 5
my
Empire Strikes
God.
Back, which also starred Mark Hamill. All right, we're getting into production notes / making of. So I've tried to put these in as linear as possible so you can get a little bit of a framework here,
Thank you, sir.
because it's quite the story. Several other ideas were thrown into the mix for a potential feature-length Batman animated series movie, including one that would become an episode we'll watch four podcast episodes from now.
Oh.
And another by Paul Dini that we only know was, quote, too dark for Saturday morning. Which, if it was darker than this, I really want to know what it was, but that's all we know.
See, okay, like quick aside.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try not to make too many interjections.
do asides. This is the point.
I think the whole like, okay, it's not like 9 a.m. on Sunday for kids kind of thing.
Yeah. This is a theatrical film. Yeah.
I want even like the regular show.
Right.
Isn't that, 4 fucking whatever. Who cares? I want Batman to be this graphic.
In the movie,
like there's those bits where like in the beginning, like Batman's like fighting those.
He steps on the guy on the table. Fuck you.
Yeah, but even like the punches have this like white flash, which is like if you ever been punched in the face, like the whole like flash of like people say like a white.
Are you saying the flashes were in the movie or not in the movie?
They were in the movie.
Okay, I was kind of looking for that because that was a thing that became like a mandatory thing. I think. Starting with Superman, was that any punch connection of any kind had to have a white flash or like a flash of like a lens flare looking thing or something to hide the literal impact frame of it hitting a person for whatever censorship reason. So I think it's interesting that the movie does have those and versus the episodes we've watched so far I don't think have, but it does emphasize the like holy shit fuck as it's
no, I really liked it. And that and like just the like Joker getting like his tooth kicked out and like everyone's like bleeding everywhere and I'm like and Batman like with the whole like one of my favorite bits I think like artistically was the construction scene end of the like the police battle with Batman.
Yeah.
And it was just like he was having a bad time and he was ravaged and like he's just like barely holding on.
The camera's like wavering focus on his hand because he can't see what his paw was a little blurry there.
And it's just like my God, guys, like just put this level of like graphic nature into the episodes. Like, you know what? Like
it's just not a thing they could do, unfortunately. Yeah.
Oh man. And I know they probably
TV versus theater. Or
they
whatever,
probably would have. Like, I'm not like mad at them for that, but it's just like it would have been. It would have been like the icing on the cake.
Yeah, the movie shows like the potential these people have for the show, and then they're like. Just the barriers that they can't. There's a good Bruce Timm drawing. I'm not sure if we talked about it or not. But it's everything that BS&P, Broadcast Standards and Practices, said not to do in one drawing. So it's Batman bursting out a window.
Wait, can you find it quickly?
Yeah, I'll do this. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's child on the bottom. It has like a key of what's there. So like child endangerment, nudity, blood, alcohol, drugs, gun, like actual gunfire or whatever, like at the camera or something.
There's
like
no
that.
blood.
Is there not blood?
No. Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's not one of them, but it's just everything that's like not allowed in one photo.
I like that there's a crucifix. Among the broken glass.
Religion was one of them. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my heaven.
Oh my heaven.
Good Lord. Alfred said that.
He's in the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, he says, "My God," whenever he sees Batman.
He said, "Thank heaven," something.
Oh yeah. So let's see here. During the film's early development, which made it all the way to at least one version of the screenplay, the film was going to be called Batman Masks. Michael Reeves remarked, "The only part I still cringe at is the title. I came up with the original title, which was simply Masks, but Warner Brothers Animation made it much more cartoony. Still, give them credit, they didn't mess with the story. I can live with a cartoony title." The finished product...
Wait, he doesn't like Mask of the Phantasm, but wanted Masks?
Just Masks, yeah.
Masks is way worse.
It's a lot less descriptive, I guess. I don't know. The finished product was marketed both as Batman Mask of the Phantasm and Mask of the Phantasm, Batman, the animated movie.
Oh.
So I don't know.
Okay.
I've always thought that was a little weird. The film's plot, especially the flashback sequence of Bruce Wayne's first night as a crime fighter, very much resembles a scrapped Batman animated series episode written by Michael Reeves from May 1993 entitled Vigil. In which Bruce
did we talk about this?
No, not yet. But this is one that, like, I ran this by Maddie, and it's kind of, like, up in the air whether this triv is accurate that the movie actually was, like, based on this script, or if there's just very similar components to both scripts.
Okay.
But in which Bruce would have remembered his early days as Batman. The episode would have had Batman gravely injured and Alfred having to keep him awake while Robin fetches Leslie Tompkins. Flashbacks explore Batman's origin from Alfred's point of view, showing what happened after Bruce put on the cape and cowl in the film. Alfred realizes Bruce is actually going to carry out his crusade and makes a desperate attempt to talk Bruce out of it, threatening to quit, but Batman stoically refuses and tells Alfred he can leave. Alfred later watches the news while packing and sees Batman brutally attacking a group of criminals. He would then rush down to the site of the battle and use a prop gun from his acting days to stop Batman from murdering a young punk.
What?
So when I asked Dan Reba about this, he speculated that Bruce Timm may have axed the episode, not wanting to do a Batman origin story or to at least save it for the movie.
Thanks,
Too many
Bruce.
flashbacks, no real villain. So,
I mean, you can have a metaphorical villain,
know,
Bruce.
yeah.
Come on.
I am the knight head jazz man or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, just some interesting extra bits there. Most of this movie is based on the graphic novels Batman Year 1 and Batman Year 2. While we're watching it, Adam, your roommate, was like, check this out. Look at the Reaper. Look at Batman Year 2 or whatever. So we'll get to that here in a second. The flashback to Batman's first night of crime fighting, donning a jacket and ski hat, is parallel to the book 1 of Year 1. The design and concept of the Phantasm was arguably derived from the Reaper, the primary villain of Year 2. So we've had Mike W. Barr as a writer on some of the episodes. He's the writer of Batman Year 2 and like co-creator of the Reaper. So you saw the picture. It's just basically Phantasm with a red costume and 2 blades in hands instead of 1. Yeah. So he argues, Mike W. Barr, that Phantasm is of course based on the Reaper, while Alan Burnett insists Phantasm is more based on the Spider-Man villain Mysterio. The scythe blade hand, a trademark of the Reaper, was even added very late in pre-production, as many drawings can be seen detailing a 2-gloved Phantasm. Bruce Timm went through approximately 20 different character designs for the Phantasm before landing on the one seen in the film. So it's kind of up in the air of like whether he just like, I finally found the design and it's just coincidentally looks a lot like the Reaper, or if he had, because there's stories of like, I had Batman Year 2 on my desk while I was writing the Thing, which is like, then of fucking course it's the Reaper. But then there's other just Alan Burnett being like, no, it's Mysterio, you dumbass. And look, there's no blade like a month before we started and all this stuff. So it's definitely back and forth. And if you talk to Mike W. Barr, he'll be like, they stole my Thing and I'm really mad about it and they never gave me credit and blah, blah, blah.
Oh shit!
And you don't really see his name pop up anymore after this, so it's an interesting little detail there. The construction site mirrors a similar sequence in Batman Year 1, in which a rookie Batman is pursued into a tenement building by a crooked Gotham SWAT team, which Batman barely escapes. You really liked that sequence, the construction site stuff.
Yeah.
I like Batman swinging off of it at the end, clearly like 20 stories up still, and he just like, under the ground.
That was one of my least favorite parts of it, because it was just like, it was one of the things that took me out of it.
Right. But that chase sequence is really good. Of like, holy shit, are they going to find out he's Bruce Wayne? Like,
I just had another Crow relation.
Oh yeah,
there's that bit where Batman is running running where both of them are running on the rooftops away from the helicopter with the spotlight. Mm-hmm. They narrowly escape the cops by getting into the car of someone who's been vaguely like a vaguely positive person in there.
Sure.
Not a super negative, but like literally like get in, and they like hop in at the last second and speed off.
As a kid, that scene of like Phantasm approaches and there's the like corpse in the chair smiling, and then he bursts, they burst out, or she bursts out the window, climbs the thing, and then there's a Batwing, there's a whole chase thing, and then Batman jumps out and they fight on the roof and all that stuff. That only lasts like 2 minutes tops. But that was my favorite part of the movie as a kid. I'm like, finally they're fucking doing something, because like the whole movie is very like almost adult oriented, like pushed, like this is a dark emotional like story about love and blah blah blah, which now is like, this is so great, I love this so much. As a kid I'm just like, can you fight again, can you punch each other, come on, what am I watching a Batman movie for? So that part still, even when that started just now when we were watching, I'm like, it's the part where they fight. Like, Batman gets to fight the Phantasm.
I was wondering where that was going to go, and it was cool seeing them kind of like mutually bested.
Yeah, there was a triv that I erased because someone had on IMDb, which is very easy to just, I was trying to like sift through these as well as I could to be like, only keep the ones that like I know are real or whatever. Yeah. Someone had mentioned like, Phantasm throws Batman the same way that Andrea Jiu-Jitsu throws him, and it's like a hint toward that it's Andrea. No, they don't. So it doesn't happen at all. I don't know why that was in there, but yeah.
Well, good for you. I appreciate your anal retentiveness.
Yes, thank you. Me too. Andrea was allegedly named after casting and vocal supervisor Andrea Romano, whom star Kevin Conroy occasionally teased. There's all these we were making fun of in the movie. Anytime like something significant would happen, and Batman would go like,
he was having quite the moan fest.
Yeah, he was on. I almost got squished by a truck against a wall. And like Andrea saw me by the Wayne graveyard. Like he does it. There's a like behind the scenes thing of him going like, oh, Andrea, to the casting director. So it's probably why they named the character this. But Paul Dini hypothesized in a 2019 interview with Sci-Fi that the name may have also been influenced by Alan Burnett's daughter Andrea. So who knows? Storyboard artist Brad Rader cited on social media in 2022.
Wait a minute.
What?
I don't think you would refer
Name
to
your-
your
name
young
the
daughter as like
character.
a love interest in a cartoon.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Well, he wrote the story initially, so who's to say? I don't know. That would be a little weird. I would like you to fuck Batman. It's my dream. Storyboard artist Brad Rader cited on social media in 2022 that he felt Andrea's character design was bland and generic Bruce. I am an admirer of Bruce Timm's character designs, but I'm not wild about this one. Completely generic pretty. There's nothing interesting about it, nothing to hang on to. Rader recounted that while working on the boards for the movie, he referenced sketches he had done of actress Lauren Bacall from the movies To Have and Have Not, 1944, and The Cobweb, 1955. I drew my storyboard looking at those sketches, ignoring Bruce's design. I alerted no one to my transgression, handed in the finished storyboard without comment, and received no comment in return. In any case, it made no difference to the end result. So he was just like, no, I don't like that. I just drew it a different way.
Well, I mean, I guess that also like, well, but that's what happened for the finished one.
Yeah.
Because similarly, like, I mean, I wouldn't say that she's like super noticeable,
Different, distinct. Yeah.
considering we already had that whole like, oh, the redheaded girl threw the wine in his face.
Yeah, that we both have had different, separate, like, yep, that's Andrea. Nope, I guess it's not.
Yeah.
And Miss Bambi with her demon eyes.
That's memorable.
Yeah. The name Phantasm is not used in any way, shape, or form within the context of the storyline. Without the title and credits of the movie, Andrea Beaumont's alter ego would be practically nameless.
That I was wondering about that because I got kind of lost in it. I'm like, yeah, we're calling it Phantasm. Sure, cool.
Yeah.
But
There's
there
no
wasn't a
mention of
name.
that. Yeah. I don't know if she, like, in the tie-in comics, they do refer to her as the Phantasm, but I think even, like, I don't think there's ever an on-screen, like, naming of the character.
I guess
so,
that explains then maybe like the disappointment with Mask of the
yeah, like,
Phantasm
why they
versus
call
Mask.
it that? Yeah.
It'd be like Mask of the Jackalope.
Right, yeah.
Like, but it's not the Jackalope.
Why is she the Jackalope? I didn't agree to this, yeah. The character of Arthur Reeves originated in the comics in Detective Comics number 399, May 1970. Reeves was a short-lived comic relief who had a bone to pick with Batman. He ceased all complaints and appearances after the Batman frightened him senseless with one well-timed boo.
Okay.
So this is also something I learned while writing these out. I didn't realize Arthur Reeves wasn't an original character to this. I did like how it was Kimmy that was like, who's that guy? And you're like, I don't know, new person. It was like, okay, good. Because there was some triv that I also erased that was like, oh, he looks a lot like Harvey Dent before he becomes Two-Face. And I'm like, if you mean he's a guy with dark hair, then I guess, but not really.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. There's just people throwing shit into IMDb with no barrier there.
I hope you erase those from IMDb.
I can't. I mean, I could go in, I guess, and go through the whole process, but like, there's a thing below each trivia piece that says like, was this helpful? And I just hit no.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not. The script was finished in November 1992 and production began. Mask of the Phantasm was originally set for a direct-to-video home release. In February 1993, Warner Brothers was so impressed with the crew's work and confident in the success of BTAS that they decided to give the movie a theatrical release instead.
Wow.
While the animators were thrilled and extremely grateful for this decision, this left them with less than a year of production time and scrambling to convert the aspect ratio to widescreen. So there's
hell.
Yeah, when we went to play the movie, there's theatrical version or TV version or something, like television version.
Right.
And neither of them have 100% the full image, because there's some shots that are designed for the 4x3 TV that have more on the top and bottom, and then there's some that are designed for widescreen that have less on the sides when you watch the TV version.
So that answers a question that I meant to ask and I forgot about.
Of what is the difference? Yeah.
No. There are several bits where it's like, wow, that is so cropped.
Yeah.
Like they zoom, and there's actually one shot of somebody, I can't remember, like a lady like kind of like leaning through a doorway or something. And
oh yeah, what's
it's like
her
you
face
start
being
off
like he has an appointment. He says he has an appointment.
Oh yeah. And you can see that it's like cropped in because it's like fuzzier.
It's
You know, the
very
film is
zoomed in.
like
Yeah.
you can see more of the grain. Like it's
I think-
obviously like been zoomed
I think
in
that
on.
might be the same way in both versions. Like it's just a weird decision there, but
Well, the thing is, you can see because then immediately after
It's
it
the
cuts
same
to-
shot, but
it's
farther
wider,
away. Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you can't see that it's been panned in on. But so
Yeah.
there's a lot of that. Now I was just speculating if it was the difference between
Yeah.
the widescreen and the not widescreen. Like
because I think it was
if
like
it was 4:3 instead of
Yeah.
like 16:9, then yeah, you could. Of course, you have to fill that space. If it's 4:3, I don't know.
Yeah, it's very like each shot has its own like every single shot has like you're missing this part on this version, but you're missing this other part on this other version. So like there's no
Wow.
like you could make like a IMAX ratio version that has all of it or something, but I don't want to take on that project. Bruce Timm and Eric Radomski had to cut scenes short to fit a video budget. We pulled our hair out trying to get it down to a manageable length. If we had known it was going to be a theatrical feature, we would have let it run longer. So yeah, it's 70 minutes or something like that. It's barely over an hour.
Hour
Yeah.
16.
Yeah,
was-
well, with the
including
credits.
the credits.
Yeah, yeah. According to his volume of the Modern Masters art book series, Tim cut out a widescreen format size stencil with an X-Acto knife and placed it over each storyboard, making notes of what needed to be shifted a certain direction or changed at all. So like each shot, he's like, do we need to touch this? Nope, it's okay. We'll just cut off the top and bottom. And then next, you keep moving on.
And you were complaining about making a composite of the two.
Yeah, I didn't have to cut an X-Acto knife stencil, yeah. Making notes, they realized that they weren't going to lose much of the picture in the end. Both widescreen and 4:3 versions of the film exist today, both available to watch on the Blu-ray release as of 2017. In some cases, shots were expanded horizontally to allow breathing room, which were then cut back for the home video. In other cases, shots were simply cropped down top and bottom. In Wild Cartoon Kingdom #2, Eric Radomski recounted that they felt very confident in their ability to pull off a theatrical feature after having screened the first produced BTAS episode On Leather Wings for the cast and crew, who were all amazed at how well it held up. I included that just for you.
Boo your trivs.
In the same magazine, Bruce Timm recalls having to pull the storyboard crew into a meeting and scold them on their lackluster work, that the boards needed to be better than their usual work for the show, and had to have that feature film quality. After boards were sent overseas, Tim and co. called for 1 million retakes, quote, from Spectrum, after the studio returned layouts that were vastly different from the storyboards. The crew began adding shadows and extra details to the boards to make things perfectly clear. However, production time had not been extended, though Spectrum's work now had. Whoa. So there are shots in the movie where it's clearly a different animation studio for like one shot and then it goes back.
Yeah.
And I think those were a lot of this kind of thing of like, you didn't do it right. That's not what we asked for. So they'd have the other guys redo it or whatever.
Oh my God.
The shot of Batman like standing up in the boardroom at the very beginning, he bursts through the window and then, "It's Batman!" And I'm standing up on Batman.
Yeah.
In the trailer for the movie even is a different shot because it's the other studio. And they're like, nope, that looks wrong.
That's cool.
Because of the time constraints, several mistakes or moments the crew wished to finesse further were left in their original form for the theatrical release, but retaken and fixed for the home video. So I've never seen what it looked like before the home video, so I don't know what those moments are, but apparently there's just like blatant errors in the movie when it was first came out.
Whoa.
But, yeah. Although Alan Burnett intended to tell a story far removed from the television show's regular rogues gallery, the Joker was placed cautiously in the story, which you were very excited to see him show
he
up.
was one of the best parts.
He was really good in this, yeah. Placed cautiously in the story because the creative team didn't want a connection with the Jack Nicholson version from Tim Burton's Batman film. According to Paul Dini, the Joker was always part of the story, but to feature the Joker as a solo threat, Bruce Timm and Burnett convinced Dini to not bring back Harley Quinn for that reason. She would have felt very shoved in. It wouldn't. Yeah. Writer Michael Reeves said, "We then realized that we could make Joker's appearance serve the story in a way we never could in live action, aka the age difference or whatever of the pre-Joker Joker." Alan Burnett also cited he wanted to do a love story with Bruce because no one had really done it on the TV show. I wanted a story that got into his head. Bruce Timm said in Cine Fantastique magazine #6 that he and the crew referred to the flashbacks with Andrea as the last temptation of Batman.
Okay. Neat.
Neat. There's some people that have complained over the years of why does this version of Batman, like our golden, pure version of Batman that everyone loves, like, why does he only become Batman because some lady said, no, I won't marry you? Like, they're kind of annoyed by that. I've never seen that as, like, a bad, dumb thing, but I guess I can, like, understand where they're coming from.
But that's not really what happened.
Well, like, he was going to become Batman, and then he saw a hot lady, and then he's like, marry me, and she's like, no, okay, I guess I'll go back to becoming Batman anyway.
I mean, it was like, he did talk about it, like his plans changing, but I think it was like, I mean, he was still fighting with that because he knew the work needed to be done and blah, 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 blah.
I don't know. It's never felt bad to me, but at the same time, I've grown up with this movie, watched it a quadrillion times. So, in the same article, Paul Dini said of the World's Fair style setting, it plays on the idea of the lie of the future as seen in our own lifetime from the early 60s. Oof. One of the indignities I go through every now and then is, where the hell is my jetpack? I still have to drive to work? None of that came true. That sort of parallels what happens to Bruce and Andrea. They're looking ahead toward the future in this golden paradise that's going to be Gotham City and the happiness they'll know together as a couple. And sadly, none of it comes true. The future just didn't work out like anybody planned.
Damn. Deep. Heavy.
The film has multiple credited writers. Alan Burnett penned the overall story as well as wrote the very beginning and very end. Paul Dini was in charge of the Joker scenes and the rooftop confrontation between Batman and Phantasm, as well as some of the flashbacks. Michael Reeves wrote most of the final act. Alan Burnett and Martin Pascoe wrote the majority of the flashback sequences, with Pascoe's scene of Bruce begging his parents' forgiveness at their grave being supposedly the only scene left intact from the original script. Which I think was one of your favorite parts. You were like, holy shit, this is heavy or something.
Yeah, no, that was like, we'd never really seen that side of Bruce before. Yeah. I don't think. And like, it honestly, like, I feel like that gave more context to Batman in like all the other episodes.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like you really need this movie to like get Batman.
Yeah.
Up until then, it's just, why is he's just there? Like, he's doing a thing. He's like, killing Clayface.
I think I'm probably
throwing chicken soup at Mr. Freeze.
I think I'm probably gonna be able to, like, I'll probably still separate because this just feels like so much more significant,
right?
Than like basically any of the episodes of his story or anything like that have been. And now if we like go back and have another, like, God forbid, like mudslide come after this movie, to be like, oh my God, underdwellers. You're just like, oh, this is so like, it could be so good. It can be so good.
You can see what could be. Yeah. Well, I really do think there's only maybe 2 or 3 episodes left that'll make you feel like that. I'm very like confident in the remaining BTAS episodes. Okay. And then the shows going forward all just get better and better to me anyway.
Okay.
So, including the Zeta Project, of course.
Zeta!
Go watch Zeta Month on the Watchtower database. Lots of videos, lots of Zeta. According to Michael Reeves, each segment of the story was written simultaneously to save time rather than sequentially. Once the scenes were finished, they gathered together to go over it all as a team, peppering in bits of work in scenes they did not write.
Oh.
Which would be interesting to do. It's like, here's the basic story structure. Write your scene separate from everyone else. And then we'll come together and be like, change that. Change this, whatever.
It worked out really well.
I guess it did, yeah. Alan Burnett was originally set to write the entire movie by himself, but the workload was split to make sure Alan could continue to perform his duties as story editor for BTAS. Additionally, the multiple directors, Boyd Kirkland and Frank Power, were in charge of the flashbacks, Kevin Altieri, the final confrontation, which wasn't originally nearly as over the top as in the final film, Dan Reba, the connective tissue between flashbacks and present day. While the film was being written, Paul Dini was attacked and beaten by 2 muggers on an LA Pier Drive. And La Pier Drive, I don't know. And had to undergo reconstructive surgery on his skull. He spent several months recuperating from the attack physically and emotionally. As a result, he almost backed out of the film and even considered giving up work on Batman altogether before he returned to work on the script. He later wrote a graphic novel on his experience recovering titled Dark Knight, A True Batman Story. It's a very interesting read. I highly recommend you give it a shot at some point.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, it's a whole spiel about that, and also one of his written like scripts that he wrote for the series that never got turned into an episode. Wow. With Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Are you aware of that character? Yeah. So that was going to be a thing too. So he went through a bunch of shit for that.
And I'm sorry, you said this is Paul Dini?
Yeah. And it does not paint Alan Burnett in the best light. So it's kind of, I do wonder how he sees that also.
Really?
But, yeah. kind of like a top-down, like bad boss kind of character. Because it was a feature film, the movie featured scenes of violence and some mature content that could not have been shown in the original series, including impacts of punches, deliberate, though off-screen murders, corpses, smoking, more adult humor like You Know Where You Can Stick It, hits to the groin, blood, and knocking out one of Joker's teeth, which most of we mentioned. Cinefantastique magazine number 6, producer Eric Radomski said of the censorship, "In the first 5 minutes, we have things we weren't able to do in the series. We have guys with handguns directly taking shots at Batman who retaliates with fist to face. Someone actually gets killed. When Joker and Batman are flying around on the jetpack and Joker shouts, 'You idiot, I'm your only way out of this. Let me go or we'll both die,' Batman originally answered, 'That's the idea,' instead of 'whatever it takes.'"
Whoa.
So that must have been cooled off a little bit at least. When Bruce puts on the mask for the first time, Alfred's "My God" is one of the only instances of uttering God in the DCAU. Writer Michael Reeves stated, "When Bruce puts on the mask for the first time after Andrea breaks their engagement, Alfred says, 'My God,' he's reacting in horror because he's watching the man he's helped raise from childhood, this man who he has let the desire for vengeance and retribution consume his life, at last embrace the unspeakable." Warner Brothers. Yeah, it really. I think you mentioned that he puts the mask on backwards. He totally does. He's like looking at the face of the mask in his hands, and then he just puts it on.
Yeah.
Turn around and Master Bruce. The eyes are supposed to go. I can't see anything, Alfred.
Or more appropriately.
Warner Brothers' first fully animated theatrical film to be rated PG by the Motion Picture Association of America. A scene featuring Batman being stabbed in the shoulder was cut so as to not risk a PG-13 rating, though I'm not sure where that might have been. Maybe in the opening fight or something, or it could have been a scythe hand Phantasm thing. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, he gets like his arm sliced open by the tiny planes. Yeah. The UK video version was originally cut for category by 3 seconds to remove the use of throwing stars in the scene where Bruce fights off bank robbers. The new DVD version is uncut and maintains the PG certificate.
How would he have disarmed them if they just cut that?
I don't know.
You just see like,
our guns are gone. Yeah.
Batman crouches down and then a gun gets flung.
Yeah, I'm really not sure. Yeah, and also like why specifically that of all the things in the movie? Like, whoa, throwing stars, that's too far.
Yeah.
A version shown on UK channel ITV1 was cut. Most of the fight between this Joker and Phantasm is edited out. When Joker sprays Phantasm with his flower, in the unedited version, she takes off the glove and pushes Joker onto a table where he reaches between the large sausage and knife and grabs the large sausage. He then runs past her and escapes by running through a window. In the edited version, he sprays her glove and then escapes through the window. The table fight is completely removed.
Oh,
I don't know why. That was one of the funnier parts. It's like, get the knife, sausage.
Yeah. Okay, all right, UK, we got to have a conversation about your censorship because bologna is not that vicious.
Bologna and throwing stars.
Like, we can't have anybody getting any ideas about sandwich meat fights.
Yeah. And the kids are going to take their meat at home and slap each other. After little to no marketing, the film was only released for a very brief theatrical run of only 1 or 2 weeks, only shown in matinees.
What?
The film opened on Christmas Day 1993 in the United States in 1,506 theaters, accumulating $1,189,975 over its first 2 days, compared to its $6 million production budget.
Wait a minute, is that... Can you give me those figures again with the like rounded off
$6 million budget, 1.2 million essentially.
And how many theaters?
1,506. Much money per theater?
$800.
So 6 people came to see the movie. Now. Yeah, wow. It was not well seen. The film went on to gross a still negative $5.7 million in the domestic total box office intake. However, it was very well reviewed, with some critics going as far to suggest it as the most accurate depiction of Batman that had yet existed outside of the comics world. Upon release on home media, the video found a wider audience, is now considered something of a cult classic. Given this favorable reception, Bruce Timm expressed some remorse that they had not tried to market the film more aggressively before the theatrical release. This is the only animated Batman movie that was released in theaters until Batman the Killing Joke in July 2016. Mark
2016.
Yeah.
Did you go see that?
I did. Yeah.
That's like when we were
at Big Bus.
Big Bus.
Yeah. Mark Hamill went to a screening. This is a story that he tells at like Comic Cons occasionally. He went to a screening at a local theater during the film's theatrical release. With only a few people in attendance, he asked them to sit with him before the movie started. So just to walk in like, oh, what's this? Fucking Mark Hamill's here and inviting us to sit with him. It would be the coolest shit ever.
Okay, friends. Go support your local theaters.
Yeah, even if you don't think, maybe Mark Hamill will be there.
And remember my rant from about 100 episodes ago when I said buy concessions because that's the only place the theaters make their money.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Man.
Expensive as hell, but that's literally the price.
The only way to do it. All right, I've got points of interest, so just kind of trivs that didn't fit anywhere else.
Okay.
One of the thugs in the semi-truck heist is named Radomski, shown on the newspaper where he claims to be innocent. Reference
Didn't
to Eric
catch
Radomski.
that.
The dummy corporations O'Neill's Funding Corp. and Adams Tool and Die, shown on Batman's computer screen, are references to Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams, respective writer and artist for Batman comics circa 1969 and creators of Ra's al Ghul. There's somber Gef al Ghul. Their somber camp-free stories have been called groundbreaking and are considered a major turning point for DC Comics' Batman titles. Also seen on the computer screen are the names Puckett and Peterson. This is a reference to Kelly Puckett and Scott Peterson, writer and editor of comic books based on Batman the Animated Series. Unlike the animated series, the flashbacks are not rendered in sepia tone or black and white, but rather are simply transitioned in and out of with a ripple dissolved, the present dark and grim and the past bright and optimistic, which still didn't quite make it as clear as it might have. But
Yeah.
December 1993, 2 novelizations were released. One was a young reader's book written by Andrew Helfer, with the other being an adult-oriented novelization authored by Gary Gravel. Geary Gravel. I don't know if you spell Gary with an E sometimes, but who knows. Despite their significant roles in the original series, Commissioner Gordon only appears twice in the feature film, and Robin doesn't appear at all. Robin/Dick Grayson's absence is explained in the novelization of the movie that he is in college. This is Bruce's story, said Paul Dini in Comic Scene Magazine number 40. I don't think Robin, like Harley Quinn, would have really had a place in this. Mm-hmm. What would he have done? He would have just been in the way.
Yeah, like maybe some scenes like at the manor or the cave being like,
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, are you fucking a lady in here? Let me leave. Those moments were the best, though, with Alfred walking, and leaving.
Yeah. Oh, I have lemonade. Nope. Drinking this lemonade by myself and peeping from the window.
Yeah. Whoops.
Hey, Bruce, you want some tea? Nope. Back to my peeping.
Oh, my. The film shares a plot hole with Batman Returns. During the film, Batman is blamed for the deaths of the core members of the Volestra mob. Arthur Reeves ordered his arrest, but he escaped. At the end of the film, the bat signal appears and Batman goes to save the day again. However, he never demonstrated that he was innocent, like in Returns, where Batman never demonstrated that he didn't push the Ice Princess to her death. In the film's original script, there was going to be a subplot in which a photojournalist was to take a photograph of the Phantasm after killing Chucky Saul, exonerating Batman of being suspect of the murders of Saul and the other core members of the Volestra mob. While the journalist subplot was ultimately cut from the finished version of the film, he still appears at the end aboard the cruise ship as the man who meets Andrea on the deck. So it's kind of, and he doesn't seem as random when you know that he was going to be kind of part of the plot. But thinking about him as part of the plot, it's like that would not have worked. Like it draws too much attention away from like what needs to be happening or whatever.
Agreed.
In the Gary Gravel novelization, this is something I've been wanting to tell you since the start of the podcast.
Okay, I'm here.
In the Gary Gravel novelization, the journalist subplot is retained and his name is revealed. I can't decide how to describe this to you. Okay, so his name is Burton.
Okay.
Burton Ernie.
No.
His name is Burton Ernie.
No. You're... No.
Uh-huh.
No.
Your face just dropped. Are you fucking kidding?
I thought you'd be like Burton Tim or something like that.
Nope.
Burton Ernie?
Burton Ernie. With a Y. So are you upset he wasn't in the movie? I
don't even know how to... I'm just kind of stuck on Burton Ernie right now. Why? Why would they do that?
I don't know.
Burton, like you have such a serious, like incredible, like art piece here, and you're gonna like Bert and Ernie this shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably why he's not in it.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I just like the idea of him coming up to Andrea at the end of the movie, like, "Hi, miss. My name is Burton Ernie.
Yeah.
Do you want to have sex?" No. Oh, well, all right.
Have you seen Sesame Street?
They're the coolest, sexiest characters, obviously. The last section I have here is called Legacy. So this is like after the film, things that have come up. In 1995, while Batman Forever was still in theaters, Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert reviewed Mask of the Phantasm for their show and said that they had regretted not seeing it in its theatrical release. Alan Burnett recalls this being one of his favorite moments working on BTAS when Siskel and Ebert apologized for skipping Mask of the Phantasm. Their little review is a very, very short clip, so I'm just going to play it here for you.
Okay.
That's a scene from Batman Mask of the Phantasm, a Batman animated feature that was made in 1993, and Roger and I never reviewed it, and as far as I'm concerned, we made a big mistake because it's terrific. I enjoyed it more than the current Batman adventure that's in theaters, and I kind of like that picture. This film, however, is really smart and beautifully drawn and intricately plotted. Obviously, Batman lends himself to animation, and just take a look at the Art Deco-influenced drawing style, the classic cartoon drawing style, as we find Batman caught up in a web of love and violence and guilt. Somebody dressed in a bat cape is killing mobsters. It's not Batman, but his name is now being sullied as a killer.
I'm telling you, friends, it's vigilantism at its deadliest. How many times are we going to let
Batman cross the line?
I'm sorry, Councilman,
but you can't blame Batman for what happened to Chucky Saul.
Why not?
Why not? He's a loose cannon, Commissioner. A lot of people, including the police
Joker, who frankly was better when Jack Nicholson played him in the first movie, or Cesar Romero in the cartoon show on TV. I don't like this Joker's voice.
You're too late, Batman!
Whoa.
There are 20 miles
Siskel.
of tunnels under this place, and they're all filled with high explosives. In 5 minutes, everything goes up.
But it's the drawing style that really distinguishes Batman Mask of the Phantasm. You can really lose yourself in all of these great images as Batman fights against the Phantasm, his deadly imitator.
The coolest scene of the movie. Running on the rooftops.
If I were forced to rank all of the Batman movies made in the last few years, I'd rank this one, this animated one, just under the first live-action Batman from Tim Burton. I wish Warner Brothers would produce more animated features from this same production team. I'm sorry we caught up with this picture a couple years late, but it's available on tape and disc. I watch it at home on Laserdisc, and with a booming surround sound system, Batman Mask of the Phantasm was big-time entertainment. I really liked it.
You know, I think that the day is coming, and it's also happening with the Disney pictures, when adults are realizing that animation is not limited to an entertainment form for children, and that animation can do some things live action can't do. For example, the sets of the city in this movie are seen more clearly than they are in the live action movies, where they get kind of murky. The exaggeration of the effects and of the camera angles can be stretched, and perspective can be played with in a way that isn't available in the real world. And then also here, it's interesting that they really did have a story, more of a story than the movies. And the characters, and they pause, and they think, and they have feelings and motivations, and you get involved in it.
I got completely involved in it, and also it's tight. It's 77 minutes long. Every image counts. Remember, they're spending more money in animation, maybe per minute, than they are in some live action pictures, and they're very economically done.
So you saw Batman Forever, and you still want to see some Batman? Try renting this, right? Coming up next.
Yep.
What was that top comment there?
Oh, if the worst thing they could say about the movie was, I didn't like Joker's voice, then I'm satisfied. That's definitely something I'm surprised. But at the same time, this is like the beginning of like Mark Hamill doing the Joker. So like nowadays, you would probably never hear anyone say like, oh, Mark Hamill, I don't like him or whatever. I mean, maybe you would, but it's like he's like the definitive Joker voice now. To hear Siskel and Ebert be like, I don't know, I like Jack Nicholson better. It's like, I guess it's two different animals, but I don't know.
It's two different animals, and I think especially like if you're like, you know, just gonna say something mildly ageist, please forgive me. they're part of like the old guard.
Right.
Of course, like so is Jack Nicholson. And so I could see that like winning some favor.
Yeah.
But I think artistically, I mean, it took me a little bit because I was just like, I don't know, Nicholson's so cool. But now I'm like, no, Hamill, like
he's given
all the
like
way.
the best dialogue in this movie too. He has some really good lines.
Yeah.
And yeah, the performance is always really good. I like I've read that Guano Man is wound tight enough to snap. Wouldn't it be great if I'd finally driven him off the deep end? Like, he's getting so like happy about it.
Well, that's the thing too, is like I think you get to see Joker kind of at his best in this movie because you get to see him being goofy and unhinged. You also get to see him being like angry and conniving, and you also
he's scary as hell sometimes.
Yeah, and you also don't get to see him at his worst.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of like, oh yeah, buddy boy, I'm gonna help you, and the next thing we see is he's like a frozen corpse with a huge smile on his face. Like, what did the Joker do to this guy?
Yeah, you don't get to really know.
So your like imagination has to kind of run wild, and I think that was just like perfection.
And he's peak like winning on Batman. Like he's not. There's not his like Joker Casino where he's getting tripped all the time or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really good. Empire Magazine cited it as the best animated film of 1993 and felt it contained better storylines than Tim Burton's Batman and Batman Returns. This is the first comic book film nominated for an Annie Award for Best Animated Feature, losing to The Lion King 1994. It wasn't until
this is better.
You like this better than Lion King?
Yeah.
It wasn't until Disney's Big Hero 6 2014 that another was nominated, and Sony's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2018 that won one.
That Into the Spider-Verse was really good.
A poster is seen at a Comic-Con in the Animaniacs episode A Hard Day's Warners, September 1995. There's a little like Mask of the Phantasm booth at a Comic-Con.
Oh, that's cool.
The film was adapted into a mostly faithful comic book, which you can find in my backpack. I brought it for you to take a look at. It's somewhere in there. It might be in the biggest pocket.
Pocket Oregon.
Written by writer Kelly Puckett, following the events and dialogue of the film very closely, though shortening or augmenting some scenes to better fit the pacing and structure of a comic. The Fortune magazine cover on the plane with Bruce's face on the cover near the beginning of the film has been changed to Profile magazine. The first flashback to Bruce meeting Andrea happens right after Arthur Reeves first mentions Andrea's name, then Bruce shoves a handkerchief into Arthur's pocket. When Bruce reads Andrea's "Left with Dad, too young, need time, forget about me" letter, he screams "No!" rather than hanging his head in silence. And when Phantasm enters Sal Lester's home to find his Joker-fied corpse, the comic instead has Sal still clinging to life, chuckling under his fading breath. So he's not like dead there. But yeah, otherwise it's pretty spot on. There's one moment in the comic that always plays in my head. I expect it to happen in the movie where Andrea, when she's talking to her mom's grave, and she's like, "Mom," or what does she say? "Mom doesn't have much to say today," and he just gives her a look in the movie. But in the comic here, he says, "Much to say," which then erases the joke of him going, "I didn't say anything," after he's like walking off after because he did say something. But yeah, it's a cool, and it has, right here I've got my name and address when I was like 9 with my doo-doo 9-year-old handwriting. This is me signing up for the Batman Adventures comic book, but never cutting it out and sending it in to get the magazine.
That's cute.
When a toy line of the film was produced by Kenner, several action figures were released, including Batman's original costume from the flashbacks, Joker on his jetpack, Joker in his wide-brimmed hat and coat, and a figure of the Phantasm, which was packaged unmasked, giving away the film's mystery.
What?
Yeah, it's just side by side. You can put the mask and cape on Andrea, but it's just like her face on the figure.
Amazingly awful.
Yep. A sequel comic was released in November 1996, almost 3 years after the release of the film, and also taking place 3 years later. The Batman and Robin Adventures Annual #1, written by Paul Dini. Andrea Beaumont / the Phantasm returns to Gotham, hired to kill Batman, but instead there to warn him of the bounty on his head. And Arthur Reeves is revealed to have poorly recovered from the Joker's toxin, now a smiling lunatic criminal not unlike the Joker.
Oh,
who
wow.
kidnaps Andrea and ultimately dies when he leaps to kill what he thinks is the Phantasm perched on the ledge of a tall building, but is in fact just the costume. So he like just, "I'm going to get you," and jumps at it, but then they all just fall off the building.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Slightly less inept.
Yeah.
Or slightly more inept.
But yeah, I mean, someone was asking like, "Oh, does he recover from the laughing gas?" And I was sitting there like, "I don't know." I don't know. He's like, "Jamie, you do know." "I don't know." Andrea's mother, Victoria Beaumont, referenced via her grave marker. In an unproduced comic set in this same continuity years later, Victoria would have been revealed to still be alive, running a secret underground criminal empire as the Red Hood, also a masculine body type concealing a female secret identity like her daughter. In the comics, Red Hood was originally the alias of the man who would become the Joker before he fell into the vat of chemicals. This is a comic that is like Maddie's favorite Batman animated run, and it is really good.
Yeah.
And it was cut short, like canceled too soon, so they didn't get to reveal like who the Red Hood was or anything. But in interviews later, they've been like, "Hey, it was going to be Andrea Beaumont's mom." We're like, "Oh my god, what the fuck!" But just never got to see it. So it's technically not canon, but it could be. Last couple things. Phantasm would not appear in comics outside of the DC animated universe or its tangential properties until December 2020, with Batman Catwoman #1, written by Tom King. Yep, it was this big thing of like Phantasm's finally coming to comics kind of a thing. It's a good comic. In the September 1996 issue, okay, so this is the last thing I have, and it's very silly, but in the September 1996 issue of Femme Fatales, Andrea Beaumont was ranked in the top 5 sci-fi's sexiest animated women, placing number 4, beating out Pocahontas and losing to Tarna from Heavy Metal, who you see boobs a bunch, Princess Jasmine, and of course Jessica Rabbit at number 1. Which you thought that there was
a lot of like pseudo Jessica Rabbit art in this movie.
Among the 50 sexiest figures in science fiction live action actresses and models, Tia Carrera, Phantasm's end credits singer, placed number 7, with Uma Thurman, Poison Ivy, and Batman and Robin at number 16, and Alicia Silverstone, Batgirl, and Batman and Robin at number 29.
This is a very 90s list.
It really is. And that's all the trivs that I have, Brian.
Wow.
We got it. We did it. Did it feel like 8 pages?
Yes. It felt like 12.
Did it take an hour for us to discuss it? Yes.
I think a little bit longer, maybe.
Probably. This is a good-ass movie, Brian.
It's a good-ass movie, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, oh, man.
So does that, like... The animation, there was bits that I cut out of there because they were kind of redundant, but they were talking about, like, the producers talking about how they were sort of upset with how the movie looked in the end, because they felt like had they known that it was going to be a theatrical release, they would have put more like time and effort into it or hired a different studio or something. But I've never watched it and been like, oh my god, I hate this. This looks bad.
This is like already miles better than the show.
Yeah, although we didn't have like a super smooth Mad Hatter moment.
No, that's
the whole
true.
movie wasn't like that. Right?
There was that one bit where Bruce is it Bruce or Batman? I think it's Bruce is like looking at the gravestone, and the animation behind his shadow is like jittering around.
Yeah, there's a little weird stuff every once in a while. Yeah, that whole scene of him like, I didn't count on being happy and all that stuff is one of the best.
God.
Yeah. Now that you've seen this movie, going forward from here is like, that's like the bar that has been set. So it'll be interesting to see.
But do they like drop that? Can they actually like keep up the momentum?
Yes, there are plenty of other things that we will watch that come up to this level or potentially higher. And I'm excited to get to those as well. Just as excited as I was to get to this movie finally. But I'm glad that we finally got to it.
Dude, it's been great.
Yeah, we should do the things that we always do. Are there any keen effects in this movie?
But like, where do
everything?
you begin?
Yeah, the fire at the end coming over the like planet and rocket and stuff like that was really cool. Like all the smoke from Phantasm.
Like anytime there's a light, basically.
Yeah,
like the helicopter lights. Sometimes those lens flares are like crazy cool.
Yeah. What are you looking through your Marvel cards for?
They're not all Marvel cards.
What are you looking? You've got a Reaper card in there. What if though? Without even realizing it.
I might even.
It's about the right era of stuff. But,
yes, it is.
There's not much in this movie that isn't a keen effect.
No, that's the thing. Like
Joker in the doorway with the bright light behind him and the like flashing different camera angles.
Kimmy was
coming
like
in.
super into that.
It's always really cool. And the like shadow work when he's stabbing Arthur Reeves with Joker toxin on the desk, or you just see their shadows on the wall and stuff like that. It's really good. Batman's shadow coming in on Arthur Reeves' chest on the bed. Oh no! He's like can't laugh. He can't not laugh still. Yeah.
I was like, that was. I kind of wanted it to be like a little more like maniacal.
Yeah.
But it was still like a really like It was unsettling.
Yeah, that's a very like I feel weird watching. I feel gross watching this.
So like, what's not a keen effect?
Yeah, I don't know. Everything's a keen effect.
Yeah,
Batman's usefulness in this movie.
Like not a 10.
No, he didn't save the world. He didn't even save Andrea or Joker.
He kind of didn't do a lot of the things that he set out to do.
Do you think that's the last we've seen of the Joker?
No.
Yeah, no.
That's not even a question.
That had been brought up in the Laughing Fish, I think, when he drops into the water where the shark is there. How did he survive that? That's one of many times that the Joker's just going to die and come back with no explanation because he's crazy. He's an unhinged lunatic. He's the Joker. He's always going to be there or whatever.
Well, I want to know more how I guess she did the smoke thing.
Yeah. The smoke thing is never really explained like in the movie. That follow-up comic or some other comic talks about how like the smoke is in like a weird like canister in her glove or whatever, because you do see her shoot it out of the glove at one point.
Yeah,
but the physics of it, she does the smoke in the very frame that the smoke fully covers her body. Some knife or something will fly through the smoke and then she'll just move and she's still standing in the same spot. Like that doesn't work that way. That's not how that works. We had a video a while ago on Batman's age where I had mentioned something about that as a side tangent. I'm like, that's not how smoke do.
but let's suspend some of this disbelief. And say that maybe there's actually something that we're missing metaphorically there, in that she's holding Joker there, and then maybe Bruce's words actually reached her to this idea where fuck, maybe I shouldn't kill this guy. She's got some time to sit there and holding him, and he's obviously that's just he's off in his own world, and she's holding him there, and then maybe she's fuck it, okay, fine, and she does the smoke thing and clears them both out of there and releases him maybe at the police station or something we don't see.
So I'll just mention the follow-up, since you're the Joker will be back, because obviously the follow-up comic has a little tiny moment at the start that picks up right in that scene. And so when Batman's oh, where'd you guys go? And is sifting through the stuff.
Yeah.
He then falls through the ground and there's a sewer system underneath there.
Yeah.
If you look really closely, he falls, as he's falling, a manhole cover is falling next to him. In the follow-up comic, it shows that Joker and Andrea were basically just standing right on top of that manhole cover. And when the smoke goes, she just brings him down into the sewer. And right as she's debating whether or not to just kill him or let him go, the explosion happens that knocks Batman down in there, and they all get thrown into the water and washed away. So that's all happening at the same time, and he just gets away essentially. Yeah, so,
I actually like that.
Yeah, it's loose enough. Yeah,
yeah,
and how she gets on the boat and whatever. Now we have to start a new top 10 list for movies. This is the rule that I'm making here.
Oh, dude.
I'm not gonna.
How many movies are there?
There are technically 6 total DCAU canon movies, but we are going to watch a handful of other movies that are adjacent on this podcast. And so I think we can probably include those in the top 10 list. But I don't think that we can really, because this is just going to shoot to number 1.
Yeah.
And if we put it with the episodes. So I don't think it's fair to compare them to the movies, because the movies are always a leap in quality like this. And I feel
okay,
if we're going to keep going with that, it's just going to be a list of movies by the end of the thing.
That's fair. Yeah, so, this was, I've been actually thinking about it over the course of our conversation. And I've been this is absolutely my number 1.
Yeah. Well, so I'm going to just do movies on each of our lists. And obviously, for now, this will be number 1 on everything. Mask of the Phantasm. I'll just copy that to yours later so as to not waste more time.
Word.
And then books are hip-hop.
Hip-hop.
This is hip-hop as shit, man.
Yeah.
This is the hip-hoppiest Batman thing I've ever seen. Yeah. All right. I'm sure that our listener base has a decent amount of stuff to say about this movie.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to head over to mail real quick in the future, and then we'll come back. Hopefully that doesn't last too long. But, this episode's already long as hell, so whatever. It doesn't matter. I think you kind of expected that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here we go.
Okay, let's go to the future.
Here we go now.
Let's go to
future time.
Hi, everybody. This is the mail segment for Batman Mask of the Phantasm. We are here in the Jump on the Bat-Wagon podcast.
That is so formal of you.
It's so formal. I met my elderly grandfather's beautiful room house. And
yeah, that wallpaper is something else.
I guess you can see that, huh? This is like one of the last untouched rooms in this house, so it's still got all the floral wallpaper and like it has like a turning knob dial light switch and all sorts of stuff.
Oh,
it's pretty cool, but also grandpa-y. I showed you the room across the hall from me right now is his old video editing space where he would do like tape to tape, deck to deck VCR editing, and a lot of that stuff is still in there, just hanging on the walls or on shelves or whatever. And you were like, look for old cameras for me. And he's not going to have anything cool. And then he had what was it? Kodak.
Retina 2A.
Yeah.
I think was that.
Yeah. Which was one model away from your dream camera or something you said.
I've been lusting over a Kodak Retina C3 for a while. And so, yeah, we're gonna have to talk shop after this.
Yeah.
And also Sheikah, I think 635 it was, which is really close to two cameras that I already have. But I mean, it just looked like it was in great shape, and so I'm like also kind of.
Yeah, well, those kind of spawned out of nowhere whenever, like, because you said check for cameras. I looked around, I was like, oh, there's this like mid 2000s camcorder in here. I don't think he's gonna have anything. And then I just turned right and like, oh, these two. Okay. But we'll discuss that later. Right now it's the mail time, Brian.
Oh, mail time.
Yeah. What's also funny is I don't have the soundboard with me, so I can't press the song. So let's just sing the song. We dropped it up weekly into the comment box first. There sure was a lot. Now Jamie's been we started Dylan Pollack. Beautiful, perfect. Last podcast of the year is the best rendition of the song we could have hoped for.
Amy quoted something earlier to me that she said she had an epiphany that I give off major little brother vibes.
You can be my big little brother.
I'd be happy. To be your big little brother. And I've been spending like a good amount of time tonight being like little brother vibes, like, or little brother energy, I think was her words. I wrote it down on my phone.
But let's get started. We got Batman's origin story from Leandro Bottinelli. I'm so sorry. Don't make me say your name. Brian gets to see the screen share the same. He can read along like it's a book. Hey, Jim Jam and Brick. He said my name first. Greetings from Argentina. Longtime listener and first-time writer Leandro here. I've been following your pee-pee-poo-poo adventures from the beginning, week to week, and looking back to those old days, I really miss the overuse of the intro song button every time there was an uncomfortable silence. That shit was peak comedy. Okay, so someone likes it. All right. It's not here. Just wanted to say that I really like what you guys do. The podcast is really entertaining, and the chemistry you both have is amazing. It's the same back and forward that I aspire to have with my friend Nando every time we record an episode of our podcast, Plot Device. I need the soundboard for everything. I would say to check it out, but it is in Spanish. Hey, I think half our audience would understand. Anyway, keep up the amazing work here and on the Watchtower database. I'll keep up trying to make books or hip-hop a thing here, even though no one seems to get it. Happy New Year. P.S. Batman's origin story, Brian. You made it, buddy.
Yeah. I just gave up on it. I said it too often, but that gives me an excuse to work on my Spanish and also maybe just bug my Spanish-speaking girlfriend to translate for me.
Listen to an entire podcast in Spanish. Just jump in the deep end right now. The deep end.
I have been. There's a couple of like Spanish-speaking podcasts that like are supposed to help you get a grasp of the language, and half of it's in English and half's in Spanish, and it's tricky. But man, I'm trying.
We're all just trying, I think. Thanks, Leandro, for listening so far. I love new people popping in. that we haven't read from before. Unfortunately, this one's from Scotty Cameron. Just kidding. Hey, Yoppie Dudes, great show as always.
Thanks.
I remember first seeing my parents bringing home The Mask of the Phantasm. Oh, God, I got to move our little heads. I can't read this whole thing. DVD when they rented from Blockbuster and thinking it was Batman versus Darth Vader movie, and then realizing that the Phantasm was in fact not Darth Vader. I was 7 at the time, okay? Anyway, I remember really liking the film, noticing some parallels and differences between the origin stories for Batman in Mask of the Phantasm and Batman Begins. It made me realize that superhero movies weren't really faithful to the material, but I had just come to the conclusion that the cartoons presented were the real origin stories for these characters. I didn't realize until much later that cartoons were also not faithful to the material. Mask of the Phantasm was also when I realized Joker didn't always have pale white skin and that he once looked like a normal person. The Andrea plot twist was legitimately brilliant, and I had initially thought the Phantasm was her dad until the twist, and I love the jetpack action scene. It's funny because I think, obviously there was a first time that I watched Batman Mask of the Phantasm, but I have zero memory of whether I was fooled into thinking it was her dad. I probably didn't think even it was her dad. I think I just didn't guess that it was her. But now that I've seen it so many times that I obviously know it's her, I have no way to experience the movie for the first time again. But even you guessed it wasn't the dad, so whatever. Even you, a simpleton.
Well, at first I did think that, but then it was just kind of one of those I don't know.
Yeah. Stay Yoppie, says Scotty Cameron. Thank you for the gigantic email. I'm going to have to skip chunks of the emails just because we got a lot of stuff, but thank you for sending stuff in. This is from Carly Barrett. More costume thoughts. Carly Barrett, BFA, Design and Production.
University of Michigan. If anybody listens to
Michigan.
Welcome to Night Vale out there, they'd get that.
I think one person said they did once.
So I'm going to assume that everybody else has already commented on the sweeping beauty and Shakespearean tragedy of this movie. So I'm going to roll in here with some more costume design comments.
All right.
Because that scene where Bruce tries to draw a little costume and gets frustrated is always really funny to me. So I'm going to offer him some advice or a bit of a costume design critique. First of all, I would use a bigger piece of paper than that, so Alfred can see it better when he has to sew it. I would recommend 11 by 14 Bristol board. Second of all, you always want to establish a ground line on your rendering. You don't want your figures just floating off in space. Third of all, don't take your sketch and burn it in the fireplace. Costume design is all about process, and you want to keep that documentation, but what you should really do is put it in the bottom of your portfolio and never look at it again until 6 years later, and you can pull it out and think, well, at least I don't suck that much anymore. Anyway, yeah.
Thank you. I hope that Bruce drew like 60 of them before that and then just went like, finally I got one that's mediocre, but I'm going to throw it in the fire anyway. Yeah.
I'm super happy to have the input of a BFA.
Yes.
Design. That was
a
amazing.
bad fucking ass of design and production. That's what that stands for.
Hell yeah.
Boss Biggest. Oh no, do I have to read this like Boss Biggest? Yep. I guess I probably do.
Your mouth.
I'm back for Mask of the Phantasm based on Mark Aquino's request. Someone said they were like gagging when I did this before. I don't know if I want to do this. I'll do like one sentence just to appease Boss Biggest. I gotta get a piece of ice in my mouth. Hey, Yoppie Dudes. I have returned because the listener, why, God, I actually spit some out, has recently been speaking favorably of your impression of me. So I'm writing in again after Blind as a Bat. Mask of the Phantasm is a masterpiece that truly explores Batman as a character and his romantic life. Andrea is an interesting character, and I love her parallels with Bruce, both having dead parents or at least dead fathers. I also like that we assume her parents are dead. I also like that we see Jack Napier in this movie instead of just the Joker. I always like seeing a pre-Joker in my Batman the Animated Series. It's a good thing I wasn't involved with Sal Valestra, Buzz Bronski, and Chucky Saul because I would have been killed by that lunatic vigilante offing Gotham's gangsters. Me, the Boss Biggest that I'm not doing the voice for anymore. Who would run Box Canyon if I'm out of the picture? Rupert Thorne. Yeah, Matthew Thorne is a supervillain in the comics. His alter ego is the Crime Doctor, whose gimmick is hypnotics. In fact, Thorne is the first Crime Doctor after Matthew Thorne's 10 years. The Crime Doctor ends. He was replaced by Anika Balsy, don't. I'm not going to try this. Our new crime doctor is a woman. Here are the crime doctors. Anyway, I'm hiring the crime lawyer and suing Mark Aquino for this. He sent in a voice message and an email, even though Jamie said you couldn't do that in dorsal aspect of the hand. God, that was a while ago. I forgot my own rule. Mark's voice message was unrelated to his email, and his voice message wasn't a tardy message from last week, so he has broken Yoppie law. I have the receipts. Okay. Oh, here's those Elton John star glasses.
Oh my gosh.
The Jack Napier thing. I kind of wish that we had heard him say something, because I would be interested to see like what Mark Hamill Joker voice is before he's Joker. Like, is it just Mark Hamill's normal voice, or has he still got that like transatlantic flair to it? Who knows?
It'd be really cool if instead he just went completely off the rails and did like, I don't know,
just a really deep, gruff zombie voice or something.
Just something weird, maybe like a German accent even.
Yeah, it completely changed him head to toe. Jordan Blumen, GCN Musical Minute. Mask of the Phantasm is quite simply the best Batman movie in my opinion, with Redacted as a close contender for second place.
Is that an Australian Shepherd? Is that a border?
Oh yeah, we get to see your like email picture.
Oh, that could be an Aussie.
It's a dog.
I wonder what that is. Jordan,
That's
tell me about
dog,
your dog.
I think. I'm so excited for this episode. Also, I want to say, in the holiday spirit, you guys are amazing, and this community is amazing, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. Listening to this podcast feels like a home away from home. Never stop.
Aww.
Thank you, Jordan. It's the Christmas time. It's the spirit of holiday, blah, blah, blah. Oh, Jordan, I now know your entire home address from the from the title of the audio file. I'll read it here on air. It is. Here we go.
It's GCN, Gotham City News with Jack Ryder. Tonight's top story, the Batman on a killing spree, maybe? Is Batman murdering mob bosses? I can't tell, but things are getting confusing and I'm getting scared. Batman, pull yourself together, you're worrying me. In other news, Batman apparently battled the Joker at the old World of the Future fair outside the city. And then everything exploded. Did you guys see that? It was the biggest fireball I've ever seen. It was a massive explosion outside the city, and I... Apologies, I got a little bit excited there. I mean, police are still investigating the source of the explosion. Now over to the music. My God, you guys, the music, the opening titles of this movie give me chills. They've got the full orchestra and the full chorus and everything. This is the best Batman the Animated Series has ever sounded, and I love it. Yoppie New Year, you guys.
Thank you, Jordan.
And a Yoppie New Year to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, I figured you'd enjoy this. It's kind of good and stuff. This is from Scarface Nate. Finally, Batman's origin story after God knows how long, or Mask of the Phantasm, whichever you put your cape and cowl conspiracy on. Hey, Bat Boys, it's been a bit, but I'm here. What can I say about this masterpiece? It hasn't been said already by everyone else. It's beautiful, complex, heartbreaking, and exciting, all rolled into one big taco barge. Who, speaking of, I'm glad he isn't just a phoned-in bad guy because of, oh, we need a Batman baddie. All right, put Joker in for no reason. And a lot of this lore will return 50 years from now, whenever now is. There are so many infamous moments and scenes that people have already made essays about, so I won't bother, as I would sound like a broken record. Also, side note, given how Bruce fought those motorcycle punks, you'd have thought Bruce would be Andrea's first guess as to who Batman was, but oh well. I do kind of wish the sequel comic was more well-known, as I feel that while it's not a perfect sequel, it does wrap things up nicely and is quite entertaining. Which, by the way, was one of the first videos I saw in the Watchtower database. So yay, I owe my knowledge of the comic to you, Jamie boy. That's actually very cool to hear, because I was a little worried that video didn't do so hot. So I'm glad it brought you in. Also, I'm absolutely livid I missed the 2 times this movie got re-released in theaters. But at least the first time was because I wasn't into Batman or DC as I am now. But I'm mad I missed it when it re-released for Batman Day where I live. Oh well, there's always next time, I suppose. Yeah, I'm sure there won't be the last time. All in all, this is a movie I watched 1,000,000 times. We'll watch 1,000,000 times more, especially around December, even if it isn't a Christmas movie. Oh, by the way, Bat Boys, I just wanted to say you're both the very models of sanity with your mountain of fidget spinners and exploding mics, especially with the laughs. 10 secret Warner Brothers logos on screen out of 10 silent some lady cameos during the introduction of the council. Thank you. Pedro Enrique, thoughts on Mask of the Phantasm and happy holidays. Hello, James and Brian. Said my name first. Thanks for reading my last email. So here are my thoughts on Mask of the Phantasm. The first thing that went through my head as the movie ended was, I can't believe this was the one time Brian chose to not guess that it was Batman's origin story. But seriously, even though this is my first time watching BTAS, it is not my first time watching this film. And though I enjoyed it back when I first saw it, having 65 episodes of BTAS come before it really enhances the experience. Everything felt perfect. I think this may be my second favorite Batman film. The Dark Knight wins by just a little bit. The story and acting, Shirley Walker's music, everything was so good. Kevin Conroy kills me when he's talking to the Wayne's grave. Yeah, that's a good scene. My favorite moment in the film when Mark Hamill delivers what may be his best laugh as the Joker, just as the world explodes around him and the music swells dramatically. Also, as I watched this movie in the original English version and the Brazilian dub, I'd like to send some love to the Brazilian voice cast, who also did a great job on this film. Yeah, that's something I've been wanting to do is watch like an episode or two in a different language just to see how it stacks up. This movie also had some of my favorite lines in the DCAU. I've pressed your tights and put away your exploding gas balls. Thanks for the handkerchief, Arthur. You know where you can stick it. I didn't count on being happy. Yep. The way I see it, the only one in this room controlled by his parents is you, roast master Andrea Beaumont. Also, as a person who has asthma, I feel seen whenever Sal Valestra has that respirator to breathe. This got a bit too long, but I'd like to thank Brian and James for all their great work every week. I'd also like to thank all the other listeners like Dylan Pollock, Keen Machine, and Jordan Blumen. The podcast you guys did together about Kevin Conroy was a fantastic and emotional listen for me. Yeah, that was great. And to those who I didn't mention, all of you made this community great, and the podcast is even more fun to listen to every week because of all the messages, comments, and emails. Thank you for your work. Happy holidays, and stay yappy. You stay yappy as well. Thank you, Pedro.
Thank you for your thanks.
David Buckley, we're finally here. Big fan of the Watchtower database and longtime listener of this Yoppie podcast. I first wanted to congratulate the pair of you on reaching a huge milestone in the DCAU, but more importantly on the wonderful community of this podcast and your YouTube channel. I'm not big on commenting, but I do love to see familiar names under the Australia box. Hopefully I'll manage to send my adoration on more occasions. I would also like to share a memory from my childhood about this movie. I wasn't alive for the theatrical release, but my brother and I shared a cherished VHS of Phantasm. Unfortunately, my last memory of this VHS was watching it alone in the living room on a big square TV. I had just finished the film and was rewinding the tape when the VCR decided I did not deserve to watch it again and ate the tape. Oh no, mangling the film, ruining my night. I still miss that tape, but with modern conveniences, I can still enjoy a wonderful film without the fear of ruining a VHS. Thanks to Brian and James, the mightiest of Yoppie dudes. He said your name first. David B.
I mean, it's true. It's a good thing that, like, it's unfortunate the tape got destroyed. It's wonderful that we have DVDs, but, like, don't forget to rewind them, because I think the same thing could probably still happen, right?
Yeah, you can rewind a DVD for sure. It won't make any difference. I was just at, did I tell you about this? I was just at my dad's mom's trucking company where I used to spend a lot of time during the summer because I would just go see her for a week during the summer, and then she would go to work and take me with her. There was this little supply closet. So it would have a bunch of pens and notebook paper and all this stuff, whatever you needed to go get. But it also had this very small, probably a foot wide maximum TV with a little VCR inside the TV.
Oh yeah.
I would watch the same 3 or 4 movies endlessly, like a Goofy movie and We're Back and stuff like that. And I would watch taped off of TV DCAU episodes as a kid in there too. And if anyone that's listening to this has seen our Superman the Animated Series documentary or the Zeta Project making of video that we did, I featured that little TV in the video at the start and end. Also in the Zeta Month finale, also, where the camera's just zooming in and out of that TV to get you into the video. And we were just there again, and she brought out this box of VHS tapes that we used to watch through all the time. And I just took a Goofy movie, this is mine. I will be taking this home. I don't intend to necessarily watch it, but having watched that 1,000 times in that office, I'm she was just freely I don't want these anymore. So I'm yep, I will have it. And that TV I also have. So. Oh, gosh, you want to try? Thank you for giving me a pronunciation. Fiacre Horgan. Hey, guys, I've been listening since give me pronunciations every time. Anyone listening, you send it, even if you think your name is John Smith, give me a fucking phonetic parentheses here. I've been listening since the start, but haven't commented too often. as I've just been content with being a silent listener. That sounds much creepier written out than I did in my head. I'm on college break now, so hopefully I'll be able to write in more often. I just wanted to say thank you for creating this podcast. Your dynamic is great, and this podcast is always a pure joy to listen to over the weekends. The listeners and commenters are always hilarious, and I love all the inside jokes. Glory to our Lord and Savior, Dylan Pollock. So, pause for dramatic effect. Mask of the Phantasm is okay, I guess. Only joking! I love this movie, which I'm assuming all the other listeners do too, so I'll try not to go over some ground you might have already covered in some previous comments. To me, Mask of the Phantasm has it all. Tragic story, powerful voice acting, awesome animation, and Shirley Walker's godly score. 10 out of 10, no notes. I'd also like to thank past Brian for recommending Gravity Falls and Over the Garden Wall on earlier episodes of the podcast.
Yes!
They've become some of my favorite shows of all time. I'd highly recommend them to any listeners who haven't been convinced to give them a shot yet. That's including me, because I haven't watched those yet. They're on our list, though. I consolidated our list into its own separate list on my phone. Like, I had a with Brian note where they're all listed, and now with Brian there is watch various movies and shows, and within that is the list of shows to watch.
I am so glad that you got into those.
Yeah,
are not to be missed.
Yes. And I will catch them eventually. And lastly, I'd like to wish James, Brian, said my name first, and the whole Yoppie community a happy holidays and a fantastic new year. Till next time, sorry for the long comment that'll be shorter in the future. No, this is great. Thank you for writing in. I hope to see you more. This is from Mark Aquino. Thanks for the handkerchief, Yop. You know where you can stick it. It's finally here. Mask of the Phantasm time, baby. Dance horn sound. I don't have a soundboard. There's really nothing I could say about Mask of the Phantasm that hasn't been said already. The terrific animation, the wonderfully crafted writing, the great performances from all the actors, Shirley Walker's immaculate score. It's as perfect a 75-minute film can get. Robert Pattinson said of all the films he watched in preparation for Matt Reeves' The Batman, he felt this captured what it's like to be Batman better than the rest. We capture the inner bubbling of the character. In my opinion, the only other to achieve this is the animated film Batman Mask of the Phantasm. When I saw it, it clicked. Being Batman is kind of a curse. It's a burden. In a lot of ways, he's right. And there are
Can we talk about
bubbling of the character?
Robert Pattinson explaining Batman as bubbly.
Yeah, what the hell is the inner bubbling?
He had disgusting for lunch.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a disgusting, like gut wrenching, like oh god, I gotta go to the bathroom kind of bubbling. I think.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, he's right, and there are plenty of moments in the film that play up on this. Notably, the scene at the end with Bruce and Alfred in the Batcave. It was cool for Pattinson to shout out the movie greatness, recognizing greatness. You love to see it. I hope everybody had a fun holiday this December. I hope everyone stays safe this New Year's weekend. Surround yourself with people you care about the most and are the most supportive of you if you can. And as the poet laureates William S. Preston Esquire and Theodore Logan would say, be excellent to each other and party on dudes. Yeah, boy, Mark. Thank you, Mark. I'd like to say it in the Abraham Lincoln voice, if preferred, if possible. Be excellent to each other. Super Luigi 64. Here's my quick thoughts on Mask of the Phantasm, as well as a picture that's referenced in the audio. Here we go.
Hey guys, Super Luigi 64. Not sending this through Anchor, just in case.
Perfect.
No time for a gimmick, so I'll get right to the chase. Mask of the Phantasm is very special to my family and I. Mm-hmm. I got it when I was 8 as part of a triple pack with the next movie and the Batman Beyond pilot packaged as a movie. And I've watched it basically once a year since then. And it's also my dad's favorite Batman movie. He's 83 years old, and he's seen it about 24 times alongside me. The one time I met Kevin Conroy was at a local convention, and we did manage to get our picture with him holding my original VHS copy.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Anyway, it goes without saying it's my favorite Batman movie, and I think that sentiment is shared by a lot of people. Thanks for listening.
You're welcome. Thanks for sending it in. Oh, I see. It's you and your dad, I think, probably in the background there. That's awesome. That clamshell case, classic.
Cool. Also, that outfit.
Yeah.
Damn.
It says this photo, my father, sister, and myself. I'm in the Doctor Who costume. Meeting Kevin Conroy a few years ago, getting a photo with him in our original VHS. One of my most treasured convention memories, especially now. Gonna watch Phantasm with Dad again this weekend to get in the Yoppie mood. That's awesome.
Oh, nice.
That's really good. I'm glad that you have that like familial connection. That's really cool.
That's so cool.
I just have to throw in that we laid out all of our positivity about this movie in the podcast itself, but after we finished recording, we went back into Brian's house, and I have a distinct memory of heading toward the bathroom and hearing you sitting down in the living room with your roommates that we had all just watched the movie together, and you just said like, that movie was so fucking good, man. And I was just like, oh, my heart. Like, Brian, the DCAU is good, don't worry. We're just getting past the stumbling blocks. It's okay.
This better not be the high water mark.
It is one of them. It is
really good.
It is really.
It'd be hard to get better than that.
Yeah. Contemplations of the week on Massive Phantasm from Tip Tapricot, squeezing in with lots of quick talking. Wahoo! Get ready, lads. I don't know how I was supposed to read wahoo. Wahoo! Happy almost New Year's. Yeah, to everybody else too. Here we go.
So this is only my second time watching Mask of the Phantasm, and it was a fascinating experience to compare the two watches. All I remember about the first time is that I wasn't very engaged. It was fun, but somewhat boring. Not much happened, and the beats felt predictable or like they had no edge, especially compared to later DCAU projects. But rewatching it, I was able to enjoy it for the piece it is. I don't know if it's time or being on this rewatch or knowing more about the world's story, but the genre and beats were able to sink in better. The smooth character models and animation, the gorgeous set, the impact of seeing actual blood and injury for the first time in this way. It was very enjoyable. I still have my gripes with the love plot. As for being at the center of the narrative, I really didn't get the chemistry or the deep emotional bond we were shown was there between Andrea and Bruce. It felt shallow and skipped over, and like that impacts my feelings on her as a character and on the message of the movie. Yep. But contrasting Bruce's mission from sadness against what it means to be happy, seeing him as a younger man, and in some ways Batman as a character, he is his origin story, was fascinating and needed, along with the very fun manhunt of the movie, which is a plot that I love.
Yes.
I also love the voice acting and the animation, especially in the hospital scene with the laugh gas. Overall, a beautiful piece of art and something that has held up to time and the universe that grew around it. Yay! And we need to stop ending messages with yay, but woo!
Woo!
Okay, I just had to put 100% of my listening ability in action there.
Oh God. Pick up the words. I do appreciate the fitting it in under a minute. Thank you.
That's amazing. I read something recently that said Oregon has the fastest talkers in the country.
I believe it. Sounds like it. And Big Bus has the fastest talkers in Oregon. we'll get a contest going here.
We slow down the podcast by 56% just to make it more audible for
I was just gonna say, wasn't there someone that said that a while ago that they listened to the podcast on like 1.5 speed or something? I can't remember, but I was like, that's ridiculous. I don't think we're already talking too fast. Jesus Christ, James. Stop knocking shit over.
It's Christmas. Idiot. Jesus Christ.
This is from Dylan Pollock. James and Brian, your angel of a listener awaits.
It's time for the thoughts of the week from Dylan Pollock on Mask of the Phantasm, or Batman's greatest foe, love. So, I already talked about this on my podcast, so go to Movies Watch Before You Die if you want to hear me rant about this movie. And a big thank you to Kate Tastic, Batgirl Fangirl, Scotty Cameron, and Keen Machine for all your comments and support on the podcast. So let's get my thoughts and go straight to James's favorite part, the question.
Oh, beautiful. Perfect.
Being that this is a movie instead of a two-parter or a single episode, what do you feel in particular elevates this above a normal episode? What shots or music or anything like that? Although you guys probably talked about that in the past hour, 2 hours, 7 hours, however long this episode is. Second question, what's the hardest part of doing this podcast for you guys? I know sometimes it's difficult just to find the time for everything for me. Not sure if you guys have the same issues, but I would like to hear it and what you have to go through to bring us this Yoppie podcast. So, wow. I hope your holidays were great. Both you, James Jacob Jinkelheimer-Schmidt, and you, Brian Hathaway, and the entire Yoppie community have a happy Yop year.
Why?
I didn't know you knew my real name.
Okay, first question's answer. I mean, we did talk about everything, but I mean, knowing that, like, everybody that worked on the show pretty much worked on this together to like make it as good as possible. I think the writing is very hard to find errors with. And then mostly I think we kind of discovered that like the music and the sound effects are just so much more grand, I guess, than the animated series is. Yeah. Heavy. So they're like, it really makes you feel like you're watching a movie instead of just like a long episode or whatever. It immerses you more, I think, is my answer. We're finally in the like mail section for this movie. We've been doing all these mail sections for the last 3 episodes with you in a post Mask of the Phantasm world. So like now you'll be going forward comparing everything to the movie. So, yeah. The second question about the difficulty of the podcast, I think you're right on the money with finding, like, right now I'm at my mom's parents' house, 6 hours away from where I'm normally at, and we're recording, at a weird time and all this. Yeah. It just trying to find the time to make sure that we deliver to you, Yoppie community, because we like you.
The other side of that question of, like, what do we do? Like, what does it look like? I think the thing that differs between, like, Dylan, what you and Gab do for your podcast, Movies to Watch Before You Die. Is that you guys watch it. You watch your stuff on your own time. Me and Jamie watch it together. And so it's not just whenever you got time, do that, and then we'll sit down and talk about it. So we
drop.
We have to find the time to not only do the podcast, but also, which, especially with, like, the longer mail segments and everything, takes up a significant amount of time. Yeah. But, like, a lot of times it's like, okay, well, I get out of work at this time. I'm going to try to eat some food before we podcast. Sometimes I don't. We just kind of go straight into it. It's certainly easier when we're together.
Yeah.
But yeah. Basically, we like kind of bullshit for a couple of minutes before pressing record, and then we press record, and then you hear most of.
And then we bullshit for an hour. Well, like, it's funny because Mask of the Phantasm and probably, like, Robin's Reckoning and a couple other episodes were my, like, deciding factors for, like, I definitely want to be there with Brian when we watch this stuff, instead of just being like, watch this in your own time, whatever, and then we'll get together and talk about it. Because, like, there's just certain things that I really want to be in the room to see your reactions for, or, like, just be there with you and enjoying it together. Because, like, we're friends and stuff or something, and, like, Christmas good feels and whatever.
Christmas feels?
Christmas feels. I don't know what that means. Mark Aquino, when all you got to keep is strong, yop along, like I know you do.
I hope that Brian enjoyed this movie. If he didn't, then my faith in humanity will go bye-bye. Seriously, Mask of the Phantasm is on my list of top 10 favorite movies of all time. So I'm crossing all my fingers that he enjoyed this.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, my question this week, and I think it's the last question I have for the year.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
If the Phantasm were to be the next villain in Matt Reeves' The Batman 2, who would you want to see as Andrea Beaumont?
Oh, man.
My pick would be either Alexandra Daddario or Christina Ricci. I think either one of them would work really well with the tone that Matt Reeves had set up. Anyway, hope you guys like my comments, and I'll see you all in 2023. Deuces.
I said it. Oh man, you're putting me on the spot because, like, my brain's like, what's a redhead actress that you want to see? But it could be anybody. I don't know. Dana Delaney, the voice of the character.
My first thought was Natalie Portman, because she's, like, just an incredibly capable actress, but I feel like that's maybe not actually bad for her.
We can go for Anne Hathaway. We just had Brian Hathaway.
Brian Hathaway.
In my head, Robert Pattinson is much younger than he actually is. So when you were like Christina Ricci, I'm like, she's probably too old, but she might actually not be too old. So I think let's do Audrey Hepburn.
Oh my God.
She's not a lot.
My biggest Hollywood crush.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
I think you got a chance.
We're the same age.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that for a bit.
Yeah, that's something that I'm going to be pondering on for a while. I don't think I have a really good, like, right now answer.
This is from Keen Machine, Mask of the Phantasm. Greetings, James and Brian, said my name for it. It's a special day, so I figure I should send in a special voice message. Been a while since I've had the chance to make one. I hope you enjoy it. Looking forward to your extensive review of this cinematic masterpiece, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Keep it keen, and a Yoppie New Year to all. Oh no, this is called Re-elect Reeves ad.
Witnesses described the victim's car as flying through the air.
The Batman remains the GCPD's prime suspect.
The councilman was attacked inside his office. Citizens murdered by a masked vigilante. A councilman hospitalized by a homicidal clown. Terror reigns in Gotham City. But Councilman Arthur Reeves is fighting back. Reeves is leading the task force to bring criminals to justice.
I'm telling you, friends, it's vigilantism at its deadliest. How many times are we gonna let Batman cross the line?
His platform, less costumes, less crime. It's beyond time for mature adults to regain control of our community. Re-elect Arthur Reeves to City Council to tell the Joker and Batman playtime is over in Gotham City.
Paid for by the Re-elect Reeves campaign, 646-655-8198.
This voice message is brought to you by me, Keen Machine. Keep it keen.
Whose phone number was that?
I don't know. Let's call it live on the podcast.
Yeah, I'll call it.
Let's over to comments on Jump on the Bat-Wagon episode 64, Paging the Crime Doctor, or Big Hot P.
It's Manhattan.
Oh, you figured it out. Oh, well, hey, you got the zip code right and everything. That's cool. This is from Ashley Tutchin, who we all know is Australian. Leslie Tompkins is one of my favorite members of the Bat family, as well as its most underrated members. I think BTAS really used her well, and I really like episodes like this, which explore the bond between Leslie and Bruce, as well as her relationship with his father. Now on to the main event, Mask of the Phantasm. We're finally here. Man, I love this movie so much. I'm so glad that in recent years it's received more recognition, because I truly do believe it deserves to be counted as one of the greatest Batman films ever. I'll finish up by saying that two of my favorite Batman moments in any medium exists in this movie. Firstly, the scene at the cemetery where Bruce pleads with his parents. That's my favorite Batman moment ever.
So heavy.
Secondly, the scene where Bruce suits up for the first time. It's so perfect, it gives me chills just thinking about it. I can't wait to hear what Brian thinks of the movie. Remember, just be honest. You're entitled to your opinion, just as we're entitled to skin you alive if we don't like that opinion.
Luckily, I
think they'll like your opinion. I think it's okay. Yeah. Charles Motosierra, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, a cult masterpiece. Brian has pierced his nose with a paper clip.
No, it's not true. It's a safety pin, and I didn't pierce. My nose is already pierced.
Anyway, first, some problems. 1, Batman is the world's dumbest detective. He should have solved this case in 2 seconds. 2, that's it. Now let's scratch the surface of the amazing, groundbreaking things in this magnum opus. This movie really serves as a showcase for why BTAS is so great. One can really see the people behind this don't give a shit about if they're making something for children or adults. They just tell the story they want to tell. One example of this is the amount of Golden Age Hollywood references. Oh, Hollywood reference. They nailed it on the soundtrack and atmosphere. I feel like anyone on the planet would agree. Despite having a pretty low budget for an animated movie, the animation here is the best in BTAS. The writing in this movie is almost a Godfather-level masterclass. Someone needs to give Alan Burnett $1 million urgently as a reward for bringing this plot into the world. For some reason, a kids movie, in quotes, can get away with a lot more violence than a show, which means Joker can kill people. Yay!
Hooray!
This movie is fucking bold. Batman's origin story is played as a tragedy from beginning to end for pretty much the only time outside the comics. The scene of him putting on the cape and cowl is not played as the moment where a great hero realizes his potential, but the defining moment where Bruce loses his chance to live a normal life because of factors beyond his control. As the slow, dreadful music turns into the BTAS theme, you just contrast it with its counterpart in Batman Begins to see how dark Mask of the Phantasm really is. The ending also strikes me as a bold set piece. Batman lost, plain and simple. He can only take comfort in knowing he is a more benign force than he once thought. Thank you. Charlie is a goat. First time commenter here. You big yoppers never fail to make me laugh every episode while still helping me relive my nostalgia for the DCAU. Congrats on reaching Mask of the Phantasm. Here's to reaching the Fatal Five, which is the most recent DCAU movie. Thank you, Charlie is a goat. I hope you're a goat. Clowntown in 97. That's all I hope. Merry holidays. Thank you, Clowntown 97. Nick Sorensen. At the time of writing this, I've just finished rewatching Mask of the Phantasm again on Christmas Day, the exact day when it was originally released in theaters. This movie holds a special place in my heart, as I know it does for every other DCAU fan. It was the first Batman movie I had experienced in my childhood before I saw any of the live-action ones, and was probably my first introduction to Batman and the world of BTAS, even before owning that Riddler tape. Even if a lot of the deeper story elements may have gone over my head at what I would have to guess would be the age of 5 or 6, I know that opening fight scene alone must have been enough to tell me that Batman is pretty cool. It's a great take on Bruce's path to becoming Batman, tied in with a romantic meeting that was tragically lost because of crime, only for that woman to come back into Bruce's life once again. I've always loved how Andrea, as the Phantasm, was a darker reflection of how Bruce could have ended up if he allowed his own desire for vengeance to consume him to the same extent. I'm just glad I never saw that official Kenner figure that completely spoiled the Phantasm's identity, so I could have been all the more surprised when he was revealed to be a woman. All in all, it's still the best Batman movie in my book, tied only with another Batman movie that I know will be watched on here eventually in the far future. Thank you, Nick. Carly Barrett. My monkey brain expected there to be a post-credit scene, but this is from the 90s, so the post-credit scene is me sitting in silence and realizing how cruel and beautiful life can be. Indeed. Serum Lake. I adore the world of the future in Mask of the Phantasm. Not only are the visuals really cool, but Joker and Batman towering over the miniature city like Godzilla and King Kong, but it's such a beautiful metaphor for Bruce and Andrea's lives. When we first see the theme park, it's bright and hopeful, representing the potential of their relationship. In the present day, it's a decrepit ruin inhabited by the Joker. It's not a subtle metaphor, but I fucking love it so much.
Wow, yeah.
Regarding the music, I previously wondered if Brother Broderick would change his mind about Shirley Walker's Batman theme after watching this film. Her work is just so much more versatile than Danny Elfman's theme. I love them both, of course, but I will have Shirley Walker's music playing in my head until the day I die. Has your opinion been changed, Brian?
Well, we talked about that, actually. I don't remember what podcast it was on, but it was somewhat recent, with the idea of, like, as we progress, it's been feeling like less and less, like before it was like Danny Elfman's music was specifically like the thing for me, and I still love Danny Elfman, but now it is seeming a little more misplaced, and that belongs more with this, like, the hyper grittiness of the 93 movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think this movie is kind of the center of attention for, like, this is a different thing. This is not a Michael Keaton animated series loosely. This is Mr. Mom, the animated series. This is from Juan Pedro. Well, we've reached the first high point of the DCAU. Not much to say about Mask of the Phantasm because it's basically a perfect movie. Easily the best Batman movie. It works on its own, but it's a perfect companion to the animated series. Combines a love story with a murder mystery. It really is a tragic character study of Batman and shows how vengeance consumes Andrea, but Bruce doesn't let it consume him. I guess we can agree that the episodic nature of the show doesn't do the movie any favors. We suspect of Arthur because he's a new character. Andrea and the events of the movie clearly impact Bruce's life, but they're never referenced in the show. She just escapes with Joker, but somehow he is still alive the next time we see him, which we already talked about. It's not really a spoiler. Anyway, I still love this movie. Excited to hear your thoughts on it. Keep it Yop. 10 Empire State Masks out of 10. Thank you. Yeah, the Empire State Building on Joker's face. Jarlin97.
Yeah.
First, note, this is not a claim to be the first comment. We don't need to turn that fight into a three-way. I just want to say congratulations to everybody at the Watchtower database for surviving Zeta Month and finishing the story finale. It was a wild ride, and I love the finale video itself and all the videos y'all put out for everybody's favorite synthoid. Unrelated side note, the YouTube comment autocorrect is trying to tell me y'all isn't a word, and I won't stand for it. This is folksy accent erasure. Thank you for the Zeta Month stuff. If you haven't watched the Zeta Month finale, holy shit, go watch it. Second, in regards to paging the crime doctor, I think this was one of those strong episodes I forgot about after my initial watch through. It also happens to be Rupert Murdoch. Best episode of BTAS. Third, Mask of the Phantasm. Oh boy, the one time Brian doesn't guess Batman's origin story.
No!
While this movie is deserving of all the praise it gets, I might be about to say something semi-controversial. Ooh, okay. Don't be angry with me, but I think it might be only my third favorite DCAU movie. Redacted, Return of the Redacted, and Redacted versus the Redacted. Edge it out for second and first place, respectively. Though that's a respectable opinion. Don't worry, this isn't some essay about how Mask of the Phantasm is actually garbage, and here's why. I just feel more of a connection to the other two movies and their characters for reasons that I won't get into because they are spoilers. But this movie is still phenomenal. For as many times as we've seen the early years of Batman in adaptations, both before and since this movie, on both the screen and the printed page, I think this is easily my favorite take on it. The animation, music, and atmosphere are all amazing. It makes me wish that Warner Brothers had the confidence to release later DCAU movies in theaters, and by extension give them more theatrical quality budgets. But this apparently didn't break even at the box office, so from a business standpoint, I get it. But it still blows hard. However, don't mourn what we didn't get, celebrate what we did. And this movie deserves celebration. There's a lot more I feel like I want to say, but I struggle to put it into exact words that are coherent and not just an excited ramble of positivity. So allow me to finish this oversized comment by simply wishing a Yoppie New Year to all, and to all a good Yop. Merry Yoppie. Thank you so much.
Merry Yoppie to you.
Merry Yoppie to all the lids of jars out there. Lanola Cola, you Yoppie dudes made this year an amazing one. To end the year, what were songs that you frequently listened to throughout 2022? For me, it was Metric's All Comes Crashing and Like It Like This, Like It Like That from Jet Set Radio Future. Or Like It Like This, Like That. I'm reading. Okay, leave me alone. Cheers, dudes, and I hope for more Yoppie content in 2023. I had a handful of different songs that I listened to quite a bit. I'm basic, but there's a couple of Harry Styles songs I've been listening to a lot. Golden and Music for a Sushi Restaurant. Those are both really good.
I've never heard a single one of his songs.
Well, you should listen to them.
I'm only starting to understand what he looks like from like the front of magazines in grocery stores.
It also looks like I played Aaron Carter, Aaron's Party, Come Get It several times. So you could do that.
Jamie, my God, we need to culturize you.
Oh, I know.
A song I found later in the year that I just like really fell hard for was from one of my favorite artists, this fellow from the East
Lizzo.
Coast.
I've been
He's
listening to a
from
bunch of
Martha's
Lizzo.
Vineyard. His name is Steve. I heard a couple Lizzo songs. She does the I don't know. I don't listen to pop music.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
This dude, Willie Mason, amazing, he's like a child of some like famous folk musicians. Willie Mason and this artist, Saint Savior, which I don't really know much of, did this song called Rock Pools. Holy shit, go listen to that. There's just some amazing, it's kind of like a good, kind of keeps you grooving beat. But both of their vocal work, especially that girl, Saint Savior, is like phenomenal. Like light and airy, but like just so delicate that I just get goosebumps listening to it. And if you want to listen to lyrical mastery, listen to the song Shrunk by Aesop Rock. Like follow along with the lyrics. Oh, the guy oh my God, I'm obsessed. I'm absolutely obsessed. There's a really good Mexican rock band that I got introduced to this year that I actually went and saw in Portland recently. I don't know, Biggest Bus. The band is called Little Jesus. And they're not religious. And there's not Little Jesus. I've found out that it'd be like Pequeño Jesus or something like that. But Little Jesus.
Jesusito.
Yeah. Azul's a really good one. They're one of those bands that just like put on the album, like go. Just go play this whole album.
So there's on Snapchat, it lets you put like songs in the background if you want to. And there was this running gag for a while to put this Blake Shelton. He's a country singer that's pretty famous right now. Okay. Song called God's Country. And all my friends and I were just putting it in the background of like every Snapchat for like 2 months in a row as just like a recurring joke that never got old. And it's this like really like heavy, like kind of halftime feeling like bombastic country song. And so I ended up memorizing a decent amount of the lyrics to it because of how many times I was listening to it. And then 2 nights ago, my aunt's phone rings and that's the ringtone. I just started singing along with it. I wish more people had noticed me singing it in the corner, but it's okay.
Proud of you, Jamie.
This is from Wency209. I watched the Zeta Month finale, and that comment I made 4 weeks ago about how it would give me an existential crisis about the entertainment media I love, and it did exactly that. That doesn't mean it wasn't good, however. You guys clearly spent a lot of time and effort making that video, and the ending skit was fun and fantastic. As an aspiring artist, writer, and video editor, you guys are a big inspiration, among many others, of course. That's really nice to hear. Thank you. Some stuff like that makes it all worth it, honestly. I can't wait for what's coming next for the Watchtower database. Hope you have an amazing Yoppie day, and as a wise man once said, smoke bomb. Thank you so much. That's great to hear. I'm glad it's connecting with people. I'll show it to you eventually, Brian. Dylan Pollock, a few too many wholesome emails, so somebody has to humble you too. James and Brian, you're fine. The wealth of knowledge you both bring to this podcast, whether it be DCAU or more worldly knowledge, is okay. Your letter reading abilities, mediocre. I think that one's true. The number of times you've had Dylan Pollock on, pathetic.
True.
The welcoming community you two have created and nurtured, satisfactory. Keep doing the halfway decent work you two have been doing. Y'all know I'm just playing and love this podcast. Thanks, Dylan.
Man, I was taking notes.
Pedro HBL. Good episode of BTAS. Some weird bits, though. This is for Patient the Crime Doctor. Just when you think the episode will pull off the old, he fell off a bridge and lived because he fell on water, it goes, he fell off a bridge and lived because of conveniently timed cable cars. Why does the medical prototype look like a sci-fi laser gun? How does a doctor train to handle that in operation? What's the training, going to a shooting range?
Oh.
Batman looked so cute and non-threatening with that little sad little bat ear after getting shot. One of the mob guys says, no more fingerprints, Doc. Ever? Wow. I'm sorry. Have these mob guys ever heard of gloves? Why would they need an operation for this? It's fun.
Oh my God, all these plot holes. Oh my God.
I don't think we talked about that. I forgot that they must have had that Men in Black fingerprint removing sphere. Right. I love how Bruce asks Matt about his father, something only he can give, as if Leslie didn't go to medical school with both of them. Just ask her, dude.
Oh my God.
Maybe he has already and he wants to know more. I don't know. Overall, I really do like this episode. Really enjoyed the story. And even though I made fun of the ending, Bruce's request to Thorne still felt pretty emotional to me. This podcast has really made my year better. And I love hearing it every week now that I'm caught up. Looking forward to next week's episode about Mask of the Phantasm. Thanks, man. Kate-tastic. The Zeta month finale was awesome and I loved it so much. Also, is there a resource we can access that has the entire DCAU in appropriate watching order? Kind of. We did a video on Watchtower Database of the full watch order of like all the shows, but we have yet to do an episode by episode order just because BTAS and STAS specifically are like pretty hard to get episode by episode timeline for, but eventually we'll have one. Batgirl Fangirl, Mask of the Phantasm, we're finally here. When Bruce puts on the cowl for the first time in the iconic scene, I always think to myself, did he just put it on back to front? We did talk about this. I hope that's not the same tray of lemonade that Alfred brings from 10 years earlier. I think it would have gone flat by now. Andrea's message to Bruce, left with Dad, too young, need time, forget about me. I hope that's not all she wrote. Just a piece of paper with broken sentences. Pissed off. Bye-bye. I have not seen this movie in quite a while, as I've been saving it for when we reach it here on Jump on the Bat-Wagon. So what can I say? I was totally blown away by this absolutely brilliant film. The animation was so crisp and sharp and flowed so well together, and the music was fantastic. The story, although complex, was so poignant and touching, I was incredibly moved by it at times. But what struck me the most was the voice acting. Kevin Conroy's line as Batman when he was talking to his parents, I didn't count on being happy, made me cry. It was so well delivered. Especially now, yeah. Alfred was superb in this film, and I thought at times nearly stole the show, from his witty comebacks to his attempts to console Bruce when he was at his lowest. Truly remarkable writing and performance from Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. Andrea was such a compelling character. Dana Delaney voiced her brilliantly and really made her come to life. I think this may be my favorite appearance of the Joker. He was used sparingly and didn't overshadow the rest of the story. I believe he only enhanced it. Mark Hamill certainly gave one of the best Joker laughs as he disappeared with Andrea. Mm-hmm. I rate this movie up there with any of the live-action ones. In fact, I think I actually prefer it to them. I think me too. Terrific messages, Scarloey 1, Jordan, Tip Tapricot, Keen, Scotty, Vitz, Mark, and Dylan. I'm so looking forward to you covering this one and hearing Brian's reactions to it. I'd also like to wish you and the other Yoppie listener happy holidays and a wonderful new year. Keen podcast, guys. 5 stars and 5 poorly timed trays of lemonade. Thank you. Scrudge. Oh my heavens / God in Star Trek V. It's finally time to talk about Mask of the Phantasm. I'll try to be brief. The Joker's origin in this series is my favorite Joker origin. I love how while he may come across as goofy and over the top, somewhere deep down he's just this silent, cold-blooded killer. I think that juxtaposition really embodies the perfect tonal balance that this version of the character pulls off. I actually prefer that he isn't sympathetic before falling into the acid. His trauma doesn't turn him evil, it just inspires him to be evil with some pizzazz. And I also gives him Roadrunner physics, apparently. I also love that by killing Andrea's dad, he indirectly plays a crucial part in creating Batman, as opposed to him literally just killing Bruce's parents. I don't think I've thought of it that way before. That's actually pretty cool. Lastly, fake trivs. The characters of Carl Beaumont and Sal the Weezer Valestra were created as a nod to Jimmy Neutron character Carl Weezer. Good fake trivs. We haven't done fake trivs in a while. Okay, this is Mark Aquino's big Phantasm comment. This comment is going to be less about Mask of the Phantasm and more a big old thank you fest to this community that's been cultivated over the past year and change.
Oh, break.
For all the laughs and moments of beautiful stupidity, I extend my thanks to the #1 podcast host of this here multiverse of ours. The first being Jamie, Jam-Packed, Jimothy... Oh, Jesus Christ. Let me try this again.
Take it from the
Jamie, Jimmy-Jam... Oh, geez. Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Jimothy Juniper, Jar of Joyful Jelly Beans, Jub, Jiminy, Jillikers, Strucker. That's not my last name. And the second, of course, is the one, the only, drumroll please, the original Ra's al Ghul, the Baron of Bad Bitch O'Clock, the Bay to end all bays, brother Brian Brick Broderick Brushy, who breaks brands with brandy, briefly bounces in the brotherhood of Bruce Willis, bathes on the balcony with Britney Spears in the Bronx, bends brittle brownstones with Bryan Cranston in Bristol, buys bronze bacon breweries during brunch with Bruno Mars, bullies those who are against Brendan Fraser, brainwashes a bratwurst brandishing bellboy, brawls from brawny Brussels sprouts who watch Bridget Jones's Diary with Brie Larson and Brendan Gleeson, and of course busies himself with Brazil's brightest brigade of brainiac brunettes, brassy broccoli and brownies named after Bradley Cooper, who are brimming with bratty brilliance and breathtaking braggadocio as they listen to Bohemian Rhapsody. Praise to our Lord and Savior Dylan Pollock. Love your podcast. Do keep up the great work. Would love to come on it one day. As well as his loyal disciples, Scarloey1, Batgirl Fangirl, Scotty Cameron, Wency209, Tip Apricot, Keen Machine, Jordan, Zane Beatty, Chris Knife, Lanola Cola, Charles Motosierra, Carly, Juan Pedro, Ashley Touch and Scrudge, Banana Man, Austin Trousers, Slacks Payne, pretty sure those two are the same person, etc. And of course, all the awesome sauce listeners of this Yoppie community of ours, you're all the best. Never forget that. Big shout outs to Magnificent Maddie and Tantalizing Ted for all the two of them do on the main Watchtower channel, especially during Zeta Month, and to Joe and Dan Reba, who were great guests that are more than welcome to return. Thanks for a fun year, everybody. Here's to 2023. So, of course, until next year, smoke bomb. I would press the applause button if I had it. And lastly, we have Scarloey1. I uploaded the first season of Jump on the Mechanic Wagon to my channel if anyone is interested. It's the full season. Thank you. That's all the shit, Brian. Brian just had a meltdown that I cut out completely where he thought he lost everything.
Oh my God, dude.
All I was going to say was thank you, everyone, for writing in, and thank you for being here all year with us. That's all I was going to say.
All I was going to say is, oh my God, what happened?
I mean, Mark Aquino lists out all the listener, but even if your name wasn't read, thank you for being here and listening. Even if you don't write in, it's great to have a bunch of folks here listening to the Yoppie podcast and all that stuff. I'm being sentimental. This is me being sentimental, okay?
While we're being sentimental and you're being sentimental, okay? We've had random blips of her throughout the podcast, but I want to thank Kimmy for being a very great listener, specifically, and
stoic,
very silent listener, but not silent when it comes to writing a theme song. And it's just super cool. We had a lot of people share their art and their thoughts and all these things. But yeah, Kimmy, thank you so much for giving us a new mail song. That is super, super awesome. Thanks for giving us a voice.
I would like to request that someone doesn't necessarily mean we will use it or play it, but if you would like to submit a synopsis song for the next season of Jump on the Bat-Wagon, I think that would be fun to play a synopsis theme before Brian gives the synopsis.
That sounds amazing.
So come up with something, someone. Some of you, one of you musical types. Cooney Phoenix. Are you listening, Cooney Phoenix?
Oh my God, we should definitely get Cooney to do it.
Or someone.
Or someone.
You know, whoever sends in the best one. My Amazon Music top was Cooney Phoenix.
Cooney's actually been pumping out the hits this week.
Yeah. And with that being said, we're going to go back to the past and finish out the podcast. Thanks for being here all year and stuff and whatever.
And whatever we said after this.
Whatever we said after this, here it is, ready, go.
And here we are back from the future. Oh, God.
Wow, that was us coming back.
Time travel all the time. It's pretty cool.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, Brian.
Whoa.
I think we've come to the end of the podcast, wouldn't you say?
I don't know. I feel like I could talk about this more.
Oh, really? Well, what else?
I mean, I don't have anything specifically, but I feel like I'm going to be thinking about this most of the day.
Yeah. It is a damn good movie.
No, Jamie, no.
It's time to end the podcast, Brian. And it's time to end the year of Jump on the Bat-Wagon Season 2. Nope, you're not hitting any buttons. Get away from me.
There you go.
Jump on the Bat-Wagon Season 2 has come to a close.
Wait, we just started Season 2.
I know, but we're through 1993 now. We're on to 1994 starting next time.
Wow.
I know. And 2023.
What? Oh, God.
I know. Here we are recording this in the first week of December, but we're sitting here like, well, here it is next year already.
It is December, though.
It is December, though.
Wow.
Yeah. Are you ready for 1994?
94 was a weird year for me, but yeah, it was like my 50th birthday, and I've had a hard time.
Every year has been your 50th.
Oh, really? I meant 75th. But let's man, let's like just grab our bootstraps and we're just gonna go. We're jumping into season 3 or 4, 3
of Jump on the Bat-Wagon.
Season 3, 94.
Continuing season 2 of Batman the Animated Series, I think. Our seasons don't line up with the seasons of the show.
Oh, right. I think
we're just going with the year in review as the season.
I think I just like
figured that out.
Well, I had that like my big surprise was like we just started season 2 of the show. And my brain short-circuited a little bit.
Season 3 of the podcast.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's...
It timed out with an actual year end, which is different from last time.
Yeah, which was just like September?
June or something.
Was it June?
Yeah, I think it was a while.
I don't know time.
Who knows? I don't know unless I'm looking at the document.
Fair point.
But yeah, thank you everybody for listening to this Batman Mask of the Phantasm podcast episode.
Yeah, this is a big one. Thank you for sitting through it with us. I hope this was enjoyable for you as much as the movie was enjoyable for us.
Yeah,
except for this song.
I never even told you I thought you knew. I never even said a word how I feel about
Somebody
you.
help me, please. Please, anybody, just Kimmy. Kimmy! Adam! Laura! Coop!
It's the bridge section that I don't know as well. So let's end the podcast. Let's close the podcast out. If you want to reach out to us like the fire hand at the end of the Cat and the Claw Part 2, which was so long ago at this point, you can email us at batwagonpod@gmail.com or send us a voice message, anchor.fm/batwagon. That's it. New episodes of the podcast are out every Friday, except we'll probably be taking a little breaky poo here post Phantasm to do, holiday stuff and whatever.
Are we?
I don't know when we'll be back. Keep an eye out on social media and stuff. Soon, okay?
We're just gonna do it.
Just gonna let the song fade out. Saxophone.
Is this gonna demonetize?
Never said a single word. Yeah, probably. I don't know. It's worth it.
Is it worth it?
Never said a single word. Feel about you. I could just record myself singing the whole thing instead, and just put that in the background. We can pretend like we play the actual song.
I mean, we should. What you could do is just cut that and do something like maybe like the Wayne's World. No, that'll get demonetized.
Wayne's World, party time, excellent. Or I could just play this song.
Yeah.
Tia Carrera, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, coming Christmas 1993 to a theater not near you because it's barely in any theaters. Nobody's gonna go see this shit.
Man, that was great. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yep. Have a good Christmas. If this is after Christmas, have a good New Year's. Whatever.
We
love
good
you.
Everything.
Happy listener. Thank you.
Thank you, happy listener.
Bye.
Bye. No!
Quite a sight.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Do you want to be alone?
I am.